Welcome to the Otherwise Board of Commissioners meeting on Tuesday, June 25th. It's 9 o'clock, and the first thing we'll do is approve the agenda. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second that?
Who's ready for second?
Any of us?
I haven't yet. Jeez, I mean,
I'll stay second.
Just, I read the minutes, and Nancy always has the second. I want to get at least one in her meeting.
All right. I'll have to rotate. I'll try to go back and forth. I'm
no, I'll
buying-
get confused
I'm
and
buying
I'll
time
be
here.
asking, who was that? Yeah, no, okay,
You ready?
yeah.
So, any discussion on the agenda?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0, I'm approving the agenda. Next is the approval of the minutes of the 18th. I have a few things. I'll make the motion to approve the agenda for discussion. Woody, do you second?
I second.
Woody seconds. I'll go through what I have.
Okay.
Okay.
Beautiful. Bless you.
Excuse me.
On the second page, the very first bullet, there's just a little typo. Instead of DPW, it says DWP.
I had
Oh.
that too.
Yep.
It's just a nit. Yeah, I had that.
And here's a request I have. A lot of people in the road industry refer to culverts as pipes.
Okay,
But because we have a water system that has pipes,
yeah,
I think that the minutes should say culverts when they're culverts.
okay,
And pipes when they're water pipes.
yeah,
And that means Jeff is gonna say pipes,
yeah,
but he's in the road business, so when he says pipes, we translate that into the minutes as culverts, unless he's talking about a water main or.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
We'll allow you to say culverts.
Okay,
It's allowed.
I'll try to work that into my
Yeah,
vocabulary.
that's,
Okay, great. Thank you, that helps me.
Good catch. I didn't even think of that. Okay.
in the third page, yes, the third page,
Mm-hmm,
section G,
yeah,
I would like to have it stricken altogether because it talks about security, and even though we may have discussed it briefly, I think it doesn't belong in the
Okay.
minutes at all, the whole thing.
alrighty,
Okay.
So that's
that was
5G.
G,
G,
yeah,
yes.
5G. Okay.
okay,
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
appreciate it.
that's what
Oh,
I printed out your email messages and all the bank statements that you had.
we'll talk about that when we get to my report, I think.
okay,
Then, let's see, on page 4, just a typo, the very first bullet talks about Hutwell. Hutwell is a town in Switzerland, and it's spelled with 2 T's,
and 1 out.
1 L. Just the
I've
opposite
done
of what
that, I've
everybody
done
does.
that before, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
so spell check on your word should
Yeah, add
start
it.
to help you with that.
yeah,
See, it's all little things. And then at the end, what do we want to say about the video link for this? It just says to see the meeting, click on the following.
yeah, I was talking about that yesterday. The links will be there,
You gotta put the links in later.
yeah,
Okay.
because, yeah, there's 3 different parts to this meeting, so, yeah,
And that's all I have on,
okay,
You pretty much covered, I had one little nit, but it really doesn't matter. I looked it up. In 5C, on the second part,
what page?
page 2,
Yeah,
go down to C, it's up the second line down, it says, water samples direct from this well cannot be done till the pump is fixed. Till I always thought was something like a colloquialism,
Yeah,
like
until-
isn't or ain't, but I
Yeah.
looked it up, Webster says it's perfectly fine to say.
Really?
But I
I
still
like
think
until.
until is more formal.
me too. Okay, great,
That's it.
Okay. Page 4,
4th page, yeah,
third bullet down.
This must be in driveways.
It says Nance instead of Nancy. Which is okay, I go by that on a regular basis, but I think the record should have Nancy.
Yes.
And the other thing I picked up on is at the very end of the meeting, when we went into non-public session, we do a roll call. So it shows that Mark made the motion, it was seconded,
Right?
and that it was 3-0. But the roll call itself
Right?
would have saying yes, Nancy saying yes, Mark saying yes,
Okay.
isn't shown, and it should be.
But there's a separate page that was sent with those drafts.
But the roll call happens in the public session,
Okay.
not in the non-public minutes, I think you're saying.
Well, no, because it has a section, well, we could talk about it. I
Yeah,
didn't bring a copy of
The
it, but,
form that NHMA gave us
yes,
records the roll call in the minutes of the non-public session. But it actually, what Nancy's saying is actually takes place
before.
before you get into that, so these minutes have to show the roll call.
Okay,
And then,
okay, so something similar, but those minutes need to have it before we actually
Go
Right.
into
go
the
into
non-public.
non-public.
Yeah, because we took the roll
Okay.
call, but it's not shown,
All
so.
right, very good.
I think NHMA just tried to make it convenient for anybody going through the non-public sessions to see it in there too.
Oh, I
Yeah.
gotcha. Alrighty,
Okay.
And it may be important if somebody said no.
yeah,
And it
right.
would happened anyway.
okay.
Correct, if it was a 2-3 type thing.
But otherwise, I don't know, my memory is not as good as it used to be. I find these minutes are very good. I mean, it really
Yes.
brings me back to what
There's a
happened
lot
last
there.
week.
Yeah,
Yes.
because, well, I went through the whole meeting session again
Yeah.
because there was a lot in that meeting. And there was a lot that I think I missed so, yeah,
It's just that we're getting a lot done.
Yeah?
yeah,
There's
Yeah.
a lot more to do,
yeah,
but you're killing it.
alright, good. Alright,
So, all in favor of approving the minutes as amended?
with the minutes, yep.
Aye.
3-0 on that?
There was no second,
Oh, second.
thank you.
Oh, you have to second that one? I thought
I don't know.
Thought we already did.
we already did, and this was just,
Oh, yeah, you
Okay.
did.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, Woulda did.
All these
So
Robert's
at
rules of orders.
9:07, we're going to move to approval of manifest operations payroll. And the pay date is June 26th for a total EFT of $6,880.07. I'll make the motion to approve this manifest. Nancy, do you second this?
Second.
Discussion.
Okay, we're getting a new form, this one printed out, a lot of good information. Is
Yes.
this from QuickBooks or from,
It is from QuickBooks.
QuickBooks,
And
okay.
it's what I'm gonna need.
Okay, good, because
Yeah.
it lays out all the FICA, the Medicare, it lays out everything. Our
does.
obligations,
Well.
our liabilities, whereas before, I think we just had a total number.
Yes,
So this, obviously gives the,
Yeah.
what's paid out, but then what remains over as a liability for us.
So this is a QuickBooks report, not a paycheck
it
report.
is. It's actually a preliminary report until they actually process the payroll, and then it becomes like another hard copy.
So you're saying they,
Paychecks.
So this is actually a paychecks report?
It definitely is.
Okay, so it's not,
Oh, so this, okay,
It
so
is a
this,
paycheck
this came from
report.
paychecks, but
Yes.
it rolls into our QuickBooks, so it
It
keeps.
will roll into the QuickBooks.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent.
because you were asking about that when we were signing up with paychecks, about how they were gonna help get it into QuickBooks.
Well, yeah,
Did that actually,
no,
no,
No, but it's working, so.
you
it's
found another
working,
way.
and I have the data necessary to do what I gotta do, and it shouldn't be that difficult,
We're gonna get there.
and yes.
Okay. And, written time cards, no,
Yep.
no issue there, everything's good.
So on this page, is there that total of the 6,800?
Yeah, so
Yes,
that total consists of,
This?
yeah, but, so, you have to look at their printout too.
So can I write this number?
You certainly can if you want to. That is the true EFT.
What does EFT stand for?
That's that, they're doing an automatic withdrawal
Electronic
from
funds transfer.
yeah, from our account in order to cut checks.
Right, okay, so, yeah, they take care of our liabilities too, our share that we have to pay into.
That is correct, and
Right.
that's what that
and
number here
the withhold.
reflects.
Okay, right, so that's the total amount.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the gross for each paycheck.
Right,
Yep.
and this dollar amount is how much is getting transferred. This is,
The 5288.36 is what actually gets paid to the employees.
Correct.
But they also take care of all the
That's
the tax liabilities,
That they'll be paying
both
for
from the
us.
employee, what the
Yeah.
employee owes, as well as what we owe.
Right.
So the total is 6880.07.
Correct.
That's what will be taken from our account.
Yep.
that's what we're voting.
Yep, that's what we're voting. The
So we
whole-
have a motion and a second, any further discussion on this? How do you vote?
Aye.
3-0. And there it is for you to sign. So how close are we to having a profit loss statement printed out?
I don't know. I haven't. I thought you said something about you and Nancy coming over the weekend to
Okay,
look at that, but I think you guys got tied up with other stuff.
We did, and we chose not to go into QuickBooks.
Oh.
so what we were deciding, we got a lot of other stuff done,
Yes.
and we were thinking that we wouldn't do it so that you would do it, and we weren't clear as to whether it would happen this week or not. But we thought the less that we go into QuickBooks, the better.
Why?
Because you're operating QuickBooks, and if you see strange things happening, you
Well, you
don't
would
know.
have to physically do something.
Right.
You're just running reports. It's not gonna physically do anything.
Okay, then there's no
No,
problem.
but
Okay.
I want to be part of this. I want to, yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
we didn't
I have an
absolutely
idea
need
of
it
what
this
you need.
week.
Okay.
And so we decided this weekend not to do it, to clarify where
Right.
you were with it.
Okay.
And,
So we should just say, we'll run reports only and make sure Jennifer's in the loop if she's not there, and actual input.
so let's nail it down. For
Right.
next week, we want a report.
Okay, but next week is a short week. It's 4th of July
Right.
weekend. I'm working half a day, but sitting that day, the half day with Carol on payroll to record everything that we need to have in QuickBooks as far as taxes and a whole
Carol.
bit.
Ca-
Catherine,
Catherine.
sorry.
Okay, so is next weekend a good weekend for us to do it, so we have it?
Yes.
Because of the week she's gonna have? So that, now, we got it. So we're gonna do, you and I will get it done this
Okay.
weekend.
That's all right.
And we know that the payroll part of it, and that therefore the bottom line won't be exact, but
Right, what we just signed will not be entered
It is
into the
not.
ledger yet.
No.
Okay.
Right.
No, there's been, how many, 3 payrolls with paychecks? So,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. So payroll was easy?
that's all I had.
So I saw some other bills, but there's no manifest for that this week.
Not this weekend.
Okay.
At 9:14, we'll go into DPW report.
Hello.
You're on. Spotlight's
I'm
on you.
on. So I did call about those 18-inch culverts. They are $608 a piece for a 20-foot piece.
We were talking about 3 of them to do 2.
That's from Smithfield. Water Industries was $615 and Paris Farmers was $722. So I figured Smithfield it is, and I believe that's with the delivery charge. So I'm gonna call them back and tell them they're our guy and have them bring 3 of them up to DPW 2,
How long are they?
20 foot. And that's the smooth bore plastic pipes.
20-foot length, 18-inch diameter?
Yes.
Interior diameter?
One's gonna get cut in half so that they end up being 2 30-footers.
Right.
And one's going in at Rhineac.
One's going in,
No,
no,
nine-
at Doorfly,
Yeah.
Doorfly.
Durfly, and the other one was going.
Adelboden.
Adelboden,
Yes.
What was the price on those?
Number 9 Edelbrook.
608 apiece,
608 with delivery.
yes.
Okay.
Very good.
And who did you order those from?
Smithfield Plumbing
Smithfield,
Supplies at Intervale. So, the ad generated a couple of things, I believe, Jen and I went over.
One solidified, and I gave that to you.
Right, so you
Yeah.
want me to make that
Let's
phone
not
call?
talk too much about this
Okay.
publicly,
Okay,
just
Yep.
what you need to say.
Yep,
that
We
was
got
all
a
I wanted to
response from the
say.
ad.
we did
yeah.
get responses.
You're gonna
yes.
do the initial
You want me to
interviewing?
make a phone call?
Yep, they'll
Okay,
come and see
perfect.
you first.
Okay,
When you want us to interview someone, you'll tell us, and
okay, I'll make that phone call.
good,
Start,
the ad's working a little bit,
Good.
that's the good news.
I think we'll see more
I was
response
hoping
soon.
we'd see.
Well, the
more.
market's bad, the market's
Yeah.
tough.
It really is.
So we're gonna clean up around the dam, get that ready for Thursday. Gonna just trim back a couple of things there. Gotta clean that big loop pipe out again. I spoke with the guy with the grader down at Chadwick. They're moving along with that. There is a glitch, and that is the instrument panel with all the lights. That hasn't been working for quite a while, and it's not just the lights. He said they had another grader in, so that was the same model. They took that instrument panel off, put it on ours, and it worked fine. So that led them to believe it's the whole panel itself, and it's a $5,000 fix.
Tell them just to leave that other panel from that other grader.
Did you get it for a discount?
So it wasn't just a few lights that weren't lighting up.
No.
Now the issue with that is if the grader's throwing a code brake failure or something like that, you're not really getting the full what's the code it's throwing type of thing without any of them lights that work. We've been running it hasn't worked in a while, and we've been running this thing like this for quite a while. That's why we figured while it was in there we could have it fixed, not realizing that
It's the whole panel.
5K for the entire panel?
it was gonna be something like this. He said the thing is fried. So they're, again, doing all that other stuff that they're
So
doing.
is this on the dashboard of,
Yeah,
and it goes across the entire, it's
Yeah.
behind the steering wheel?
yeah,
So it's basically the dashboard for the whole thing.
right.
And it's one solid piece by a manufacturer that doesn't make these anymore, so.
He did say there were a few readily available, but I told him, I said, you guys needed to talk about this
It's
first.
5,000, how much?
He said it was 5,000,
Approximately.
it's like roughly $5,000.
So if we did that, would that be a new panel, or is this just like salvaged from a grader that's
No,
not?
no, this would be a new
Brand new.
New
panel.
panel.
Right, they had a grader there that they were working on that was the same model, so they took that out to kind of diagnose the problem on ours, and that's what they came up with.
Jeez.
I make a motion to approve up to $5,000 to replace the instrument panel in the Volvo grader.
Second.
They need it, tells them whether the brakes are working when they're.
Oh, no.
Well, anything, any code that it could be throwing on there,
Right.
overheating, engine malfunction, it could,
Yeah. No, you need to know.
it could cause other,
Is there any actual display, LCD display in it, or is it just light
Light.
indicators?
I believe there's more of a display type of thing, it's pretty sophisticated,
And these things actually connect by satellite to
they do,
the mother station to get software upgrades.
right?
Really?
Yep.
That's where the graders are today.
They
yes.
do.
Wow.
Jeez, that's amazing.
Yeah, they could tell you over in Switzerland or Sweden what this
Or
thing's
China.
doing. Right, wherever it's coming from these
China
days.
owns Volvo.
It's
discontinued
pretty
making them.
sophisticated.
Oh, great, yeah.
Now it's
That's how
another
they're gonna
Chinese company called.
infiltrate our water system.
Yeah.
SDGC or something is the company
Okay.
that took over. Further discussion on the
I hate to be the
instrumentation panel.
bearer of that news.
Well, it
Yeah, you have
happens.
to tell us.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
Okay.
Gotta have it.
Yeah, that's about all I got. So looking over on here,
The
we are
gentleman-
aware of that 26
Yeah.
little loop.
Yeah.
That's something we've been aware of for years.
Right,
It needs a pipe there. Unfortunately, it's one of these long driveway's this way, not long that way.
Right.
Where the house is, and, you know, you're talking probably you know, you'd have to look at it, but I mean, if you were to put
I did look at it
a
yesterday.
40-foot pipe, I mean, what kind, you know,
Would
I
have to
think
be,
we need
or you
stone.
shorten up the pipe, and the driveway will be, you know, the regular width of a driveway pipe, 20 feet, and they're gonna lose that end of the driveway for pulling up onto it, and it'd be stoned, like you're saying, you know, you'd stone the ditch line out to daylight, you know, I mean, that's,
That would be my suggestion, is that to put a culvert there, not only that, would have to ditch coming into it and coming out of it,
right,
and stone line it anyway, cause it's gonna rip through there, cause it's
Right.
so downhill.
exactly, so you're
It's
gonna
a
have
major
to
project.
yeah.
come around the
Which I'll
corner.
get to is that well, anyway, to stay on the subject, my suggestion is that we pick a stone size, 1.5 inch, and fill in front of his driveway with stone.
For now.
Yes, that will slow the water down. If there's water gushing, it's gonna gonna erode around whatever we do there. Short of putting a pipe in and ditching the whole thing, which we
Right.
are not in a position to do right now.
Right,
So he needs that fixed, so, for his use right now. I think, I'm suggesting that we just put 1.5 inch, or you pick the size stone you think goes in there, combination of stone.
yeah,
Maybe slow it down before it even gets in front of his driveway by stoning up the hill.
okay. Okay.
And you have a lot of stone on,
We've got 3/4 inch stone, I don't know if that's gonna work, I'd have to get a load of 1.5 inches, which isn't a big deal,
No.
you know what I mean? We'll get, you know, we'll get it with the 7400, I'd get a load of 1.5 inch stone, rather than putting gravel back in there that we've
Yeah.
been
No, I-
doing over and
gravel-
over and over again.
Con-
The
Gravel-
stone will last longer, it's, again, nothing, that's not the fix all, you know what I
Right.
mean?
need a
But-
budget for buying 1.5 inches?
I mean, I think I don't know what that would cost off the top of my head, but I mean,
I'll make a motion that he gets a load of 1.5 inches
it's
and
not like it's gonna
7,400.
be that expensive.
It-
It's probably not even $100.
I'll second that. I took a look at that and I was wondering, okay, that's,
We've constantly put gravel in there over the years, and
Never-
this is how it works.
If it's on a hill, gravel never.
It's not, I mean,
it's a temporary, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a Band-Aid.
it'll fix it for now until the next rain.
It's like
just
playground hill.
Yeah, it's like what we've been doing all over.
Until we put stone in there, it just, every time it rained, they had to go rework it.
Right.
There's many places like that, we have to get out of the gravel business and start.
Yeah, so,
I'm gonna speak more about drainage when we
Okay.
get to my report. So the motion on the floor is to approve a load of,
probably 1.5 inches.
1.5
I'll
inches.
talk with Tony about it,
Yes.
and we'll go from there.
all in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
Okay,
So
so,
we're gonna put
and
this
the
on our long-term list of road repairs for how?
Yeah, I mean,
how to-
again, talking,
Do a
I
much
mean,
more
I think it'd
permanent-
have to be a conversation with the homeowner about putting a pipe in there on more of a long-term person pop.
But which would shorten
Fix,
the width
you
of
know.
his driveway.
Yeah, cause, I mean, I don't know if we wanna be in the business of putting a 40 or 50-foot pipe in there that,
Aren't technically a driveway is only supposed to be 20 foot in width
Exactly.
anyway?
Yes,
So that's
according
all
to the ordinance.
right,
we'd be willing to do in
We
the
should add
future.
up how many we have out there that are more than 20 feet,
right.
I'm sure there's a number.
Oh, there's a lot.
It's not too far from your house.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. So yeah, that's where that's at. And the Mark Motors thing, I saw that, when we brought the truck in initially with that bearing and all that, I mean, they had told me that the brakes were gonna need to be done, and I said, well, while you have it there, let's put the brakes on, and he gave me a quote of $1,200. Now, he tried to slip that in with the warranty, but I guess it didn't work.
Make a motion that we approve, paying for the brakes.
1,264, yeah.
So,
That one right there.
Second.
$1,002 and $1,202.64 to Mark Motors. Nancy seconds, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
3-0?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't actually say anything. Oops.
Yeah.
Sorry.
but that's all I have.
I got a question. As I was racing through Idlewild Drive to get here on time, no, kidding, I was doing the speed limit. I only noticed one speed bump, there's another one, isn't there? Do we have a second one?
Yes, yeah, we were a little late getting that one out this morning, so the sun And then we got into something else, so we're gonna get that one in probably first thing in the morning. I've gotta leave a little early today, be up at Waterville, Maine for a baseball game, with my son.
Okay, I just wanna make sure we still have.
Yeah, no, that one's
Yeah.
going in, it's not
Okay.
like we just didn't do it.
No, I was concerned that maybe something had happened to the second one.
Like
but we
Yeah, no,
haven't,
no,
so-
or
Okay,
something,
good,
yeah.
That's going in.
good, cause that's a crucial corner.
Yeah, we got the block in front of that other one, we're gonna try to maybe put some orange paint on that. And I've tried stickers in the past that just keep falling off,
I
so.
like orange paint, it's usually.
Yeah, you know, that block, you hate to put it there, but if we don't, people drive around the speed bump. It's right into the pond almost, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
but now
Just
they're
to
gonna try
get
and drive
away
on
from the
Kevin
speed
Just
bump.
to
Natchez
drive around,
property.
instead of going over the speed bump, they'll drive around, and like I say, literally
They
almost
have
go
to
into the
slow down
pond.
anyway. It's
Yeah,
weird.
it's unbelievable,
Yeah.
but that's where we're at,
Okey dokey.
that's all I have.
So I have copies of your time cards.
Okay.
I need Woodard to sign, Tony's, so I'll have those at the office. I can
Perfect.
stick them in the mailbox, you guys can grab them.
That
Okay.
sounds
Morning.
great. Thank you.
Morning, Ian.
Morning.
Good morning.
What's happening, men?
How are you?
Good. Yeah, unless anybody else has anything else,
No, thank you.
I'm all set.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. You guys have a great afternoon.
You too.
Perfect timing.
Jeff, what time are you
Take
taking
my
off?
seat, you guys, nice and warm.
Nice to see you, buddy.
See ya.
I'll be here.
Hey, Jeff, what time are you taking off early?
I gotta leave at 1.
Okay, I'll try and find you after this meeting's over. Just
Okay.
something I want
Yep.
to give to you.
So at 9:26, we'll go into the scheduled appearance with Ian Hayes and Noah
No, yes, correct.
from Simply Water to discuss the water system. Morning.
Good morning.
Where do you want to start?
Do you guys have I'll grab an agenda. I want to start wherever you guys want to start. So obviously we have, you guys had that email come through. They're finishing that PRV pit today.
Yeah.
So I have a guy up there, but we'll try to keep it, they're still
Yeah.
exploratory digging and stuff, so we'll keep it as abridged as possible. But I think we have some things we want to go over, but just I want to get back up to those guys. So
Yep.
Well, could we just have just a quick overview on exactly what they're doing? I mean, Dana did send me a brief thing, but you
Yep.
know, you obviously are much more.
So, long story short, what's gonna end up happening is, so you got your gravity zone coming off from the Summit Station. Existing as of today, you have the one PRV pit, the Upper Lakeview PRV pit, that feeds down, the Class 6 to Lakeview Road, and then a section of homes on Oak Ridge, and obviously down Upper Lakeview Road and to, Rigi Zone over there. What is happening is a new PRV pit was installed with 2 separate PRVs in it. And the existing PRV pit will become just a downhill feed to Lower Lakeview and the X amount of houses, 6 or 8 houses on Oak Ridge Road. So the inlet will get tied to the outlet, so that will have like a form of a bypass going around it. So it'll be T'd more accurately. So one section will go into the existing PRV feed only Lakeview and Oak Ridge Road. The other section will now be at full gravity pressure from Summit Tank to feed the 6 or 8 or 10 houses in between existing PRV pit and new PRV pit to increase the pressure to those homes that have been struggling with 30 to 40 PSI over the last lot of years. So that'll bring their pressure up, and then it'll hit the new PRV pit where we'll drop the pressure back down to the 2 extents of the zones. The new PRV pit's it's not online yet, but it's capable of being online. So obviously before the water gets fed that way at full gravity pressure, that PRV pit, the new 2 PRV pits will be put online, and then they'll get cordoned down. I don't know if you were on the email. We're going back and forth on the pressure readings from or the pressure settings from schedule on what they were looking for on each zone. So we'll just set them to those pressures and then adapt as needed, depending on what we get for feedback.
So it's recent from schedule, Nick, as to what pressure he wants out of the Rigi
Go
zone?
call Paul. He's just calling me.
Sure.
What's that?
Do we emails from Nick saying what the pressure should be out of
It
Rigi?
goes way back. So I got,
Way back, okay.
I asked that and I said, do you guys know what when Dana sent the email to the office, I said, do we know, are you guys prepared for this? Do you know what you're getting into, what we're setting for pressures and whatnot? And then that's what I got forwarded the email from Nick from maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going off for information. Like I said, they're still exploratory now. When we did line locating, I think it's poly lines, so they're just trying to find, you know, the two sweeps of where it comes together so they can find their tie-in point. So minimum today, they'll get the first tee in. If need be, they'll have to do another shutdown tomorrow to be able to do the other tee, and then they'll just tie them together.
Are they going to address the leak shortway down on Upper Lakeview?
So as far as we can tell, now of course that was done through dowsing and listening, and it was, we ended up finding a leak. I'm trying to remember the house address, but it was off that zone, and it popped open. We got a call from a plumber that reported a leak in the driveway. This is going back a month or two.
Yeah.
Cut our usage down like 20,000 gallons on that zone. We're down to normal usage on that zone now.
Where was
So
this leak?
it was towards the end of the zone, the high pressure end. I just can't remember exactly which house. I'd have to look it up.
Upper
Oh, I
Lakeview?
know.
I want to say
Lakeview?
42 Oak. Is that
Oak.
it actually was down on
Yeah.
42 is Jay's old house. It's around there.
maybe it was 44. It was somewhere in that vicinity. It's on those. So that is technically it was off the Upper Lakeview PRV. That's what we really knew at the time, is that we had a leak off that zone, but we didn't. Yeah, through the listening, that was the best that we could come up with, and there might still be something there. I'm not saying there's not, but I don't think it's worth, for what we're seeing for usages in that zone in total, and I can get you guys an accurate number. Actually, I can probably do that right now.
Are we talking about the leak that I took a picture of showing out of the pavement that Tony found? That
I'm
was
not
down.
sure.
That was downhill from number 19.
Downhill from them. Are you talking about on Upper Lakeview?
This is Oak Ridge Road.
On Oak Ridge at 19.
Out of the pavement, I sent a picture that Tony flagged there's a leak across from Kevin O'Neill's old house.
No, I don't. It's just I'm not 100% sure, Mark. I think we found a leak in the, I want to say it's in the 30s or it had to be in the 40s, because I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it was off the. I'm going back a couple months, so I don't have that information
It wasn't
ready
under
for
the
you.
pavement, it was,
Off to the side.
it was in the gravel.
I will have to go back and look in on the notes on that. I don't know. But if that is down on there, no, that wouldn't be the intention. That would be something we would probably handle in-house at this point. But unless it was right, I thought you were talking about the one that was just down the street on Upper Lakeview that we had.
I was,
Previously-
at the beginning of this conversation,
Okay,
I was.
that was the first one. Okay, so no, that one I don't think is worth exploring at the moment. I think our usage across the board has dropped a lot. We also found a leak down on 2 Little Loop that we were able to shut off as a homeowner. Both these were homeowner lines.
Yeah, we talked to the
Yep.
homeowner.
Okay, so those have both been isolated, and since that point, we're back down into what can be considered more moderate usage for us. I don't have an internet signal, so I can't tell you guys anything, but, so as of now, we wouldn't be looking for additional leak points outside of something coming up out. So I'll have to take a look at that, because I don't have a recollection of going over and, if it got put through as a work order, I'm sure one of our guys went and looked at it, but I don't have a report for you on it right now, so I'll get that to you and find out what we saw. And you said that was 19 Oak Ridge?
That was downhill from, 19 is where the Oak Ridge station is. I
Okay.
don't know what the number of Kevin O'Neill's.
Just somewhere downhill of 19 Oak Ridge.
Yeah. I could send you another email with that picture and tell you what. street
Yeah, feel
number
free to
it's at.
re-forward it, but if it came through from you guys, I know if this was predating the work orders, maybe it got missed or flagged or whatever. I know you've been sending us over work orders on everything, so I'll check with Lisa when I get out and see if we, see what we have for notes on that. Paul, good? Yeah. Okay. But like I said, we were at like 30,000 gallons a day off that zone, and now it's down to 3,000 or 4,000
Yeah.
gallons a day. So it's a significant difference on that. And then the general usage, we don't really track. It's difficult to track really the Rhineac gravity zone and where it's all going, because it's pretty immense. Where we don't have a lot of, it's about 300 houses that get fed directly off the tank. So trying to figure out where exactly it's going can be difficult. But with that 2 Little Loop shut down, made a big difference in that general usage too.
So if Rhineac is a segue, let's talk about Muddy Beach.
Okay.
We just learned that the Muddy Beach well, both wells haven't produced anything since April 17th, I think.
Yeah, so that not due to the conversation we had on that. I had talked to Tom about it. We've had historical. There's nothing keeping that from running outside of some telemetry issue, and we've had historical issues with this in spring and fall where it just won't produce. It can't keep, without manually running it. It won't do it. And then all of a sudden, the signal strength's there. Nothing showing, no errors, no faults. It just there's some telemetry hiccup. And this is, if you go back in the usage logs, it's spring and fall, like every year it happens. We've looked into it. We've spent probably more money than we should have trying to figure out, positioning on the radios, looking into different radio signals, ground versus air travel, all these different things, trying to find a better, calm thing. And it's odd because it's typically when the leaves are growing and when the leaves are falling. Not, you'd think when it was like full leaf exposure, that would be when we have issues, but it's not. It's during, the seasons when the leaves are coming back and the leaves are falling off. So I don't have an explanation for you. It's something we've looked into a lot, but that is not due to us shutting it down and taking it offline intentionally. That's just not communicating properly.
So
at the
that's
moment.
actually good news.
Yeah,
The fact that we really didn't want it to run and not
right.
a
It's
reason
kind
that
of
it's
inadvertently doing it on its own.
Yeah.
right. So divine intervention is with us.
Right, but you're saying they're
It
still,
will-
they're still not producing.
So it's available to us. So let's say in an emergency, right? If so, we
manually run it.
Right, we manually run it. So it's not like it's not there. And we've just gotten used to this. I mean, this has been right along since this is predating the work at the pump house. I mean, since we've had telemetry at that pump house, there have been sometimes it's 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes it's 2 or 3 months, and it just comes back out.
So based on history, when could we expect it to start producing again?
Soon, I would expect, usually, and again, we just have to go back in your usage logs and look. But this is usually before now or around now when we would start to expect to see it coming back. Mid-June is when we would expect that to kind of kick out of itself. So, I talked to Tom about, he called me on, I think you guys may have discussed the computer thing with him, maybe a month or back or so.
I just put a email to him saying he owed us a quote for a rack-mounted upgrade to that PC.
Sure.
So
He just called and asked, what was going on. I hadn't really talked to you guys much, but hey, we have some telemetry issues, and that was one of the things we discussed again, and we went over that on how we've been, chasing this thing for 10 years without much success in finding it's always bad. It's not great when you can't figure out, if we knew something that we could upgrade or fix or change, but we've tried just about everything at our disposal to try, outside of increasing the radio wave, which we can't do. So, like the strength of it, I think we're limited by the FCC on what we can actually produce out of these stations. Conversation, the hertz, and this is not my world, so I might be misspeaking here, but something about the gigahertz or something on the frequency that you actually produce, we can't go up anymore. I think if we could, we'd probably strengthen the signal.
without an FTC license,
What's that? Or without an
No
FCC, maybe
license,
it's
so
avoiding getting into a licensed
not your
area.
radio station.
Okay, so I think
We
that's,
have a
so
license.
obviously we are, I think for certain ones, right?
You get a license for each frequency
Right.
range.
So
Yes.
that's not one that we are currently, and I don't know if we have any that we are. You're saying we do?
We
Very
do.
well. Okay, I don't know which ones we do or don't, but that is definitely not one of them. So if we take that route, we'd have to obviously deal with whatever
Yeah.
consequences come with that.
I wonder if we should be hardwiring it. I looked at that tree lineup. It's not just the first couple of trees. There's a whole bank of trees. Cutting trees is not the solution.
No, and like you said, unfortunately, I think we have ground travel radio waves, and again, don't hold me to
It's
that.
supposed to hug the hills, yes.
So, and again, historically, we're not having issues when there's full leaf coverage. It's the opposite. We're having issues when the leaves are down. So it's a very odd situation. I don't know how to, justify what's going on because it's been repeated. It's repeated itself over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So, short of digging into it and restarting, because it's been a few years since it's been probably 4 years since we just kind of accepted this is what happens. It runs, and we know we have it available to us if we need it. It's not pump failures. It's just, hey, this thing doesn't run in auto this time of year, and then it kicks back. And if we need it. If young Frau loses a pump and we need supplemental source, we can kick on Muddy Beach. So, we just run it manually. So, but when we have Tom in, if you guys move forward with the computer upgrade, or I think it's due time for him to come in and do a walkthrough anyhow, we can have him kind of get back into, and he can explain a lot better what our issues are over there.
If we didn't transmit from that pole where it is now, if we were able to run a cable out to the edge of the water, away from all the trees, that it was clear shot, it's not that far.
No.
I don't know whether that equipment would allow a cable to run that long before it had a new transmitter that was away from.
We're talking about like moving, like, putting up like essentially a radio, like a tower with
Yes.
it, okay. I
The
mean,
other
it's
way
shallow
is-
berry stuff,
It's
it's,
hardwire it
right, which obviously would be a,
back to banner lines maybe,
Yeah.
which got us into skater unnecessarily to begin with, but anyway.
we had issues with Banner too, when they would lose phone lines, we'd lose comms, I mean, listen, everything's got like an upside and a
That was
downside.
because the phone company would have new employees come up to this bank of
And disconnect it,
disconnect
disconnect
because
them.
they didn't label it.
Right.
That
Right.
wasn't a technical issue.
I mean,
That-
we keep, I would say as a default, of course, in today's world, 99.9% of places are running off radio comms or some kind of cell-based communication or something along those lines. By all means, there are locations that a banner line or some kind of a direct communication is a valuable thing. My 2 cents on that one, just with how little we care to use Muddy Beach, what its current, I wouldn't necessarily get into a whole plan on that one until we decide maybe a whole future for Muddy Beach and what we want with that in the long term.
So the water usage logs going back years should show us the pattern of when this thing shuts
Yeah,
off.
yeah, you'll see, I mean, you'll see other, if you see it in the winters or the summers, there's times, like those seasons, we've had issues with those pumps going back forever as well. There weren't, we didn't have transducers in them, so first we had transducers and then they took lightning hits, we regrounded the building when we upgraded it. Something with the transducers, we added new transducers in at that point, so now we could actually monitor, because what was happening is no one was really aware until we get the functioning transducers in there that there's a full interconnect between those two wells. Shouldn't be, they're two completely different depths and sources, but there is. So when well pump would run, we'd draw well 2 down, and then next thing you knew, well 2 was hanging in the air and burning itself out, which is exactly what happened. So that took heat, it worked for a long time, still did its thing, but it's finally just shot the bed. That's why well 2 is not operable right now. And that's why you see, although there's differences in your water qualities between 2 wells, you'll see that they're relatively similar, even though one set it, kind of considered a gravel pack well and one's considered a deep bedrock well. Both deep well pumps, but one is supposed to be pulling water off the surface of the bedrock and one's pulling water from the depth of the bedrock. But yet we have pretty similar water qualities between the 2 of them. Not exactly the same. You of course are going to get higher consistency. Like I believe we're going to find that well 1 is probably the worst of the 2. I want to say the uranium issue, but just being the deeper well pump. But you'll see it in well 2 as well. So some cross there that we don't know how and or why, but if you can see that in the pumping charts too, where it'll be just well 1 running, but the well 2 will do the exact same drawdown, so,
So let's talk about pumps.
yep.
So the Muddy Beach system has a tank that is questionable.
Yep.
There's no human access inside the
Keeps being
tank.
referenced as a World War II buoy, I have no idea the legitimacy of that, but,
So there's no manhole to let us examine what it looks like inside, and it's old. The station is old itself. It has telemetry issues. It has uranium issues. Let's invest in pumps.
so, I'm not gonna sit here and disagree with you. I mean, this has been a conversation I've been kind of striking up over the years about, how and what do we wanna consider Muddy Beach? It's kind of an emergency source, but obviously DPW is fully capable of producing water for the system, even in high peak demand usages and things of that nature. The issue is there's no redundancy at DPW. We have one well pump.
Let's put a number on the cost of replacing the pump that we need to replace.
Okay.
I think I've seen $9,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's no other action we could take on any subject to do with Muddy Beach that is anywhere near $9,000. Everything is way over $9,000 to replace the tank,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
even to find out what the inside of the tank looks like.
Right.
It's more than
It would be
$9,000.
minimum that, right?
So, as hard as it is to invest $9,000 in a system that got that many questions around it,
We need to.
I don't see
And,
it being a hard choice.
I'm hoping this is an upper number because I asked them for pump, wire, piping. Those pumps were replaced,
And disposal of the old pump,
everything, it'll all go away.
not just lay it on the
Yeah,
ground.
yeah.
That's happened.
It sure has,
know.
multiple times. This is including pipe, which believe it or not, is about $11 a foot. So that's what current galvanized pricing on pipe is. Could be a couple $1,000 that, this is relatively new. If it's reusable galvanized, it's gonna get reused. It's, typically if it's 8 to 10 years old, which I think it is, that should be, it might even be a little bit newer than that. That should be in the wheelhouse of reusable pipe. There's not pH issues there, there's not significant iron issues there. So I'm hopeful that this is a kind of a worst case scenario, maybe we get out of this thing for $6,500, $7,000. Hoping to that, but that's the conversation we had, that this is a fully inclusive, all new wiring, which the wiring could also be reused. It's just, you get into these scenarios where what risk are you taking to save 10 or 15% of the total cost on wire? I mean, we're not showing ohms, we're not showing anything going to ground, it's just a failed pump, it's an over amperage on the pump, so we're pretty confident that the failure point, as confident as you can be, is a failed motor on the pump. So wire isn't cheap. I maybe say $3 a foot or something for a 10 or an 8 gauge wire that's going to be going down to a pump like that. Might even be 6 gauge. So $3, $4, $5 a foot. They'll make a determination. I'm just going to let them be the ones to make that. I mean, we just don't want to, because labor is far and away what you're, the rental of the truck, the boom truck, and the 3-4 guys that they have there. That's where the lion's share of this cost comes from. What you don't want to do is pull it, replace just the pump, put it back in. And
So
then,
based on what we know now, what kind of motion can we make to
if
kick
you
this
can,
off?
if we go up to 10,000, because like I said, this is a verbal number from them. You guys will receive the receipt from those guys. They work directly with you, or I'll give it to you. This is being billed at cost. So it is what it is. That's what I have for a verbal. So
So we'll make a motion that we approve up to $10,000 to get this pump replacement underway.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I'm gonna approve it, but how old is the existing pump?
I would have to.
What was the root cause of the failure? I mean, you gave us a lot of information about
So
issues.
what we believe the root cause is when there weren't transducers, the pump took heat. So when well pump one, the system would call for water,
Right.
and both pumps would kick on,
Right.
and there was no safety shut off because it didn't know how much water were in these wells.
I heard that. So
So-
that won't happen again with the new pump, right? That's
There's transducers in place, and no, that there's a level cutoff to stop
Can
the
we have
water.
a SCADA system not have both pumps ever turn on at the same time?
Yeah, we could have. Well, I mean, yes, 95% sure you can do that. So there's a lead lag system. There's usually, I'd have to maybe have Tom work in a specific override to never allow it to happen. Just put in a line of code that says that, because typically you have like a set point that primary pump kicks on at 45 inches and shuts off at 55. Secondary pump kicks on at 25 inches and kicks off at whatever point you so tell it. Those will alternate if we were to set that up, and I don't know how I could make it so that the secondary pump would never kick on outside of having a line of code that we say one pump only ever runs in this station. So outside of that, yes, we
I
could.
just want to make sure there's not an issue in another part of the system that would cause a
No,
failure.
we didn't have the
in short.
transducers. We put the transducers in, and we found out this interconnection. We had already run that pump dry. We know we had already run that pump dry. So that pump had already seen heat, and it just has been like that for 3 or 4 years, and now it's just finally kicked out. We were able to, there's limiting switches in the control boxes. You were able to turn the amperage up, even though that's not what it was rated to run for. It's been running at, an extra 5 amps or something for X amount of years to keep from tripping, and, that did its thing and kept going, and now it just finally went kaput. So.
Right, so if everything's correct, if all the specs are correct, what is the expected operational life of a new pump?
Community stuff, I mean, 10 to 15 years isn't crazy. I mean, in today's world, that's a pretty reasonable, so this isn't maybe at max life point, but it's not that far from it either. And knowing that it took damage, it's not crazy. I mean, fortunately, I don't care how much money you spend on a pump now, there's plastic in them. Back 20, 30 years ago, there wasn't, and now there is. And minor heat, just wear and tear, they fail more readily than they did, in the past. So It's hard for me to give you an exact number. It all depends on how much they get used and what kind of damage, comes across them. But I think 10, like I said, 10 to 15 years is a pretty safe bet on life expectancy on these things.
Okay.
And I wish I could tell you 30, but it's just not anymore. And you do get that. Like, don't get me wrong. That does happen. You can get 30 years out of something, but it's not necessarily the expectation anymore.
Okay.
Motion is on the floor for up to 10.
Yes.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
Perfect. I will let Hartley know that he's good to go. It's great. You guys, I always said the email that we got to obviously address testing coming up in the next quarter, and we, for our own purpose, want to know what the heck we have going on down there and whatever else. So, I'll get him going on that. Obviously, it's been a little while since I talked to him about it. I'll just find out a schedule. Let you guys. It shouldn't have any interference on anything because it's not working, right? So it's there won't be any operational changes. It'll just they'll get go through the process. We'll get it coordinated, put back online, and then we're tested and then put back online. So we'll let you guys know as soon as you'll see it when it's operational.
Como.
Yes.
Nick Skagel pulled the cover off Como to see what he could see.
It was full of water.
Yes. Cutting the conversation shorter, I think that we should go straight towards an upgrade of that Como PRV system. And it should be the model for what we do with all PRVs, upgrading and new installations, which is a larger vault, probably on the size of what just got put into Riggy.
Yep.
And it has a straight meter into it. And it'd be designed so that it can adapt to the 2-inch pipes that may be coming in and out of it right now. But the inside is set up so that it can go to a 4-inch pipe where we get there. And
Yep.
the first place we'll get there with 4-inch will be Como.
That's all. I mean, you're not gonna hear any complaints from me. I mean, I've, that these things have been, I think for a number of reasons, getting meters in your pits is going to increase. We just include that in your week, bi-weekly checks. So we just go around, even a brass meter, you don't have to get a 4 to 20. We put a pad outside, you go over, you read it, you don't even get down in the pit. So you start pulling usages on that. We'd be able to zone in on where and if and where we were having problems. Troubleshooting purposes, we'd find issues a lot sooner than, when you see a 5 or 10,000 gallon increase across a zone with 25 or 30 houses on it versus system wide, it's 5 or 10,000 gallon usage. When we go from 80 to 90, who knows? But when you go from 3,000 in the zone to 13,000 in the zone, it jumps out at you. So there would absolutely be more information readily available to us from that. And again, it just takes a 2-inch brass meter, which is, I don't know, under $1,000. You're not having to get into the 4 to 20 stuff. Obviously, more access to those pits, better sealed pits. That water is from, we always pump them down when we go into them. So obviously that's wear and tear on all your components. It's water-based components. You're not really hurting much other than some of like the pressure gauges. And then, the small diameter stuff is the stuff that kind of tends to rot out when it's just sitting in water versus, your brass and that's all for the most part going to be okay. But, yeah, it would be great to have a little more room in those.
This is the first time they're hearing from me. We haven't been discussing this.
Well, I remember Nick mentioned that
You've seen emails from Nick going back and
right,
forth.
that he checked that pit and it was filled with water, so he got
I think
he
3
got
or
no
4
valuable information there.
No, 3 or 4 of the pits have water. When we go around, we take a 2-inch pump and a generator, we pump them down, we go in, we, check everything out. Of course, you change the gauges almost every year because they're not functioning, and it's not a huge process. Take 30 to 45 minutes to drain it down, but again, that's 30 to 45 minutes per pit you guys aren't paying for when we go around and do pit inspections. So, not that that's going to pay for itself in a 5-year period, but it makes it more usable. When you got to get in, if you have like a built-in ladder and an actual access hatch door and things like that, it makes it a lot more usable situation than right now. You got to make sure to always have 2 guys when we go in those pits, and technically you would want that still. But if it's a pretty a Bilco door hatch that's aluminum and you make it a functional pit, it's a lot easier to use. So
Are you getting every word he's saying?
No,
okay.
I hope I know that.
But the key is I'm all for it, and I think as you guys, like maybe even before we get to all of the replacement pits, there's been conversations like what we're doing up at Upper Lakeview that could happen about new pits as well. If this is something we're going to actually go into, because you have like another zone out there, essentially the little short dead ends, and that area that we have extraordinarily high pressure as well. You know, we always focus on the Upper Lakeview issues because of the low pressure, in conjunction with the fact we got 140 psi at the end, which really, you know, it's
We might
bad
even
on
see
both
water
ends.
usage go down if we regulate the pressure everywhere.
Well, I mean, we all know that there's just, you know, things aren't brand new in here, and when you're putting 140 psi to 60-year-old pipe and service lines that are irrigation line, a lot of it, and just not done necessarily.
Or even the old blue,
Anytime we knock
push
the
to get
pressure
it
down,
gauges, right?
right, I mean, knocking down from, if we could get down closer to 90, 80, 90, 100 psi on these things, what a difference between a 140. I mean, that's a very large difference in what we're expecting a pipe to hold.
So you're okay with the idea, the whole idea of upgrading Como, but having that as the model that we
Yeah.
upgrade everything? At some point, you gotta tell us what's in the ground in front of Youngfrau that went in there, that mystery of the Rhinebeck project where the old PRV that was out in front of the Youngfrau station went underground.
It's almost an identical pit to what you see at Rigi. Square concrete, same,
That size,
yep, same.
Wow.
I don't know the footage, maybe it's 2 feet shorter, so there's not two pits in there.
relatively that size.
Yeah, but relatively close to that size with a bolt on.
2 people could fit in it.
Yep.
And the hatch is below grade,
Yeah, so that hatch that you see at Rigi is technically a driving hatch. It's not. We didn't need it at Rigi. It would have been
Which
nice
is
to have a.
which isn't an aluminum one.
No, but it is on a compressed hinge, so it is. You know, one person can open it. You just got to
Spring-loaded.
dig up the 3 foot by 3 foot in the gravel, and you know, so it's not a quick process.
I know it looks like a
Yeah.
This exists right in the middle of Youngfrau Road?
Yeah.
underground, yes.
It's a driving pit though. It's
It was
designed to be
never,
driven
it
on.
was never designed, there was no prints, there was no specification. The contract said 3 PRVs at 25,000 apiece. I still don't understand it, how the state approved a grant for this contract that had $75,000 in PRVs. There was no designs on where, didn't even specify where they were going. And we got this PRV installed on a weekend. Actually, it came back on a weekend because it failed. Got installed during the week. We have no pictures, no records, no description. Nick doesn't know how the water comes out of Muddy Beach and goes to Rhinebeck anymore.
It goes up. I think there's some inconsistencies on the mapping. It goes up, and so the same way the water comes back down from Rhinebeck to tie into the rest of the system, it goes essentially down Youngfrau Road to the interconnection with Appinvale, and then down to an interconnection there to Idlewild Drive and around down Lugano and everywhere else over there. But
So Muddy Beach drives the water from the pumps inside the Muddy Beach station.
yep,
Because I know years ago, we had to increase the size of the impeller so they could drive it all the way to Rhinebeck.
yeah, it can
Nick
handle it.
wasn't even clear that Muddy Beach drove the water all the way to Rhinebeck from the pumps in Muddy
It's
Beach.
still technically not because
Is it using Youngfrau's pumps to get it up to Rhinebeck?
nope. So it connects in the street before all that takes place, right? So when it comes out, Youngfrau pumps out, Muddy Beach pumps out. It's teed together, and they both go uphill, right?
But you don't think Muddy Beach gets it all the way into the tank?
I would say that it does, but we don't actually. If it's only Muddy Beach pumping water, we, as a rule, use more water than Muddy Beach is running. Like, I can tell you it does because it's run at night, and it's you see a very obviously at that one runs I think at 40 gallons a minute because we have it meeting what the pumps can do. So depending on what our usage is at, it's very close to what we actually use. So. You almost flatline when Muddy Beach, and you can again go back in the graphs and find areas where it's just Muddy Beach running when Youngfrau is offline for one reason or another. Could be a hiccup in telemetry, or we just servicing or whatever, and you'll see almost a virtual flat line. It's very wavy.
Now, because Muddy Beach used to pump into the old Rhinebeck tanks, and now we have a water tower.
Right, so you increase
So
the
it's more
pressure by
head-
5 psi or 3 or something
So
like
it has
that.
a harder time filling the top of the water tower.
It still does it.
It doesn't.
Yep, but so at 40 gallons per minute, we'd be moving about 57 to 58,000 gallons a day of water, and that's a little less than we actually use, which is historically, say we use 60, 65,000 gallons a day right now without leaks, or big, large leaks. So we're technically losing ground constantly if all we're running off is Muddy Beach. So, yeah, but you can see it overnight when usage is low. You'll see the little tick up on the tank. It's very slight, but it will make it to the tank.
So the T where Muddy Beach can connect to where Youngfrau is sending the water up is outside the actual vault. It's
Yes,
in the road.
yeah, it's in the road.
Okay.
Yeah, and that connection was already there, that's been existent for a long time, that's actually the way it's always been, it's just the least, it's hard to say what the least path of resistance was, right? But against gravity, you were pumping against the exact same thing, whether it went up Lugano and up Salins and up Bristenstock, or whether it went around up Appinvale, Jungfrau, and the Bridle Path, they're still ending at the exact same point.
So
So,
this is great. I've been waiting to hear this for a long time, since this project was done.
yeah,
So now tell me why the valve at Bristenstock and Salins is closed.
it's because they left an interconnection for emergency purposes, so that water main on Salins still exists. It didn't get fully discontinued, but all of Bristenstock, right to the dead end, is all pressure zone and
4-inch pipe.
4-inch pipe. So the uphill end of Salins is on pressure, and the downhill end of Salins is on gravity feed. But so lower Salins is fed directly off Rhineac tank with no pressure boosting, and upper Salins, Bristenstock, upper Aspen is fed off from the new pressure system out of Rhineac.
Upper Salins.
I'm just saying, if you split Salins in half where that valve is, so there's a valve in the middle of the road, there's a valve at the top of the road, but they double valve
So
it.
Bristenstock is the pressure zone, clearly, because the pressure zone, the PRV is at the top of
Yep.
the hill.
Yep,
And the valve is closed. So the one house on Salins,
it's fed, I believe,
From
off
the
the
bottom
gravity.
up.
Yep,
that's where you mean gravity fed?
yeah.
Okay, all right.
So just think of it like Salins Road doesn't exist anymore as a water line.
So you didn't want Salins to have the pressure that was on Bristenstock,
They had to pick a point where they stopped feeding the pressure zone, technically, right?
to
Like-
isolate it as a zone.
Right, let's say you wanted to feed that, we could go down and add a valve
I
at the
get
base
it.
of Salins and turn it on to pressure zone, but it just, at that point, you're up at like 90 to 100 PSI on the pressure zone, and you're at 60 PSI off the gravity zone. So they're good either way, so that was a good point to stop the pressure feed. But
And how big is the
technically,
vault that's up at Bristenstock?
I've actually never been inside of that vault, so I can't, but I believe all
It's a
the
small cover on
all
it,
the
too.
vaults were designed to be the same, whether they went in the same or not, I don't know. I've actually been, we had a leak on, I don't know if you're with me yet, what's the little road up there?
Biasca?
Yes, that section, what's the feed road to that? God, that's-
Edelboden.
Edelboden, thank you guys. So, we had a leak there, and I was, trying to find the valving, and this is the, same old. Nope, I have no idea what got put in for valving, where it is, been trying to recover that, called the contractors, called the engineer. We ended up still having to shut off, like, the whole pressure zone to be able to do that. So, I am quite unfamiliar with that stuff. At some point, we're gonna go around and just open all these up and see what the heck we have.
So this would be we could go forever here.
Yep,
There's the last subject area, if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah. I
And
just have
that
one last
is,
question.
that is the capturing of data going forward,
yep,
pictures and locations and stuff. Wooder and I happened to be coming down the road when the latest connection on number 57 Idlewild Drive was being done.
Yep.
With your new machine.
oh, you bet, that you guys must've been who talked to Bob over there when we
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
getting parts.
He didn't ask for identification, so. Um, So, it was an opportunity lost for us to capture where the main was.
We have all that.
And, every time the ground's open, I think we should be capturing information.
Yeah, we do all
should be
that.
capturing it.
Yeah, and we do that, and it's accessible to you guys. So we have a system called Jobber. I was talking to you about this the other day that we data log everything on. When we make the cards for like that specific card, we'll have that information on it. This is a process for everybody, but we're making sure to pull measurements from main to curb valve, pipe type, depth to pipe, all that's all available for any connections we're doing. So,
So you've
we
seen
have
this?
all that.
Is
That-
it not
that
up to you?
car-
Not their program, not their.
No, so the Jobbers are essentially our scheduling software, but it works very similar. I think did I tell you guys about this separately from this, almost looking at it like a work order
You
system?
told us about your scheduling system, I didn't know it captured job data.
So it captures whatever the heck you put into it. So you could individually, like we have individual, come down to the shop one day, we can show you what we work with, because we have, like when I go to 57 Idlewild Drive, I have two different work orders you guys sent, one for you know, the connection and one for the inspection on the homeowner's side up to the curb valve. We document all that, so we have two separate, it's still one house number. If I look up, I can just go type in 57 Idlewild Drive on my software, and anytime I've been to 57 Idlewild Drive, for line inspections, for the tap, for whatever we run into, it's all right there. So, it's pretty great. We use it for our own purposes, but like I said today, when we go do checks, we keep the books, we actually put it in so I can open up the jobber from the shop and keep half an eye on the usages and stuff without them having to report. You know,
It records pictures?
we put pictures on it, we do everything with it. Yeah, so all the
How does
pictures
it
we took on
export?
that job are already on it.
Does it export?
I guarantee it does, whether this, I've never gotten into it.
So do we hear an invitation to come to the shop and see
Yeah,
this?
yeah,
There'll
absolutely.
be refreshments?
Because, no, maybe it's, you know, semi under construction at the moment, but there might be a table in there to sit at that point. So,
Is
but
the
yeah,
shop near,
it's in Glen, yeah, so it's, you know,
where the
half an hour
office
from
is
here.
or another location?
Yep, right where my office is in Glen. So, yeah, we could give you a breakdown. Lisa knows the stuff pretty well inside and out. She could give you a pretty good rundown on it and what you might see. It's very similar to like a work order system. If you have to create the jobs, but you could create a point for every, you know, we could go through and label every gate valve you have as a point. And, you know, we'd have a login to your jobber separate from ours, but we'd go in there and go to gate valve 233 and take a picture that it got hit by a plow and show the dirt in it and, you know, put the 2 hours of time trying to auger it out or whatever it is. And now that's a historical item that has a date, pictures, all of it. Now next time you go to that valve, that, you know, tie card would be connected to it, everything you'd need. It does not, you know, remove the need for like a map, but it gives you, when you find the places that you need to be to, look and scroll through, hey, crap, last time somebody was here 3 weeks ago, they noted a broken gate valve cover, which would have just, you know, spurred, we have a system that we kind of spur our own work orders through. You guys would do the same thing, like when we report something, it just automatically generates a work order, and now you go and you schedule a fix on the cap, and bada bing, bada boom, you know? So the next guy to go, start scrolling through, you'd see, oh, it's buried 18 inches deep from surface, it's, you know, 2 feet off the roadway, it's, you know, whatever, and it's just you can make it a very valuable thing for you guys.
So you can access this from the field?
Yep.
When you
As long as you have internet. I just tried to open it. I don't have very good internet here, but
No.
that's the one hang up. It is a fully I think it's 100% internet based. So
Yeah.
there's really no offline version of it. But 99% of the time, that's fine. You know, like when we run into hang ups, like we go to a customer house, we just require those customers to give us Wi-Fi passwords or something. You know, it solves the problem. So like right now, I could pull, like I could have done if I had the Wi-Fi here, I could pull open our information. So that's, you know, obviously at your office, you'd be tied in and all that stuff. And there's a desktop version versus your mobile version and everything.
So we need to get them Wi-Fi, I think there's Wi-Fi here, right?
I think so.
So maybe next time we'll have.
I want to say it's $1,000 to $1,200 a year. It's, you know, $100 a month or so. It's not insane money, but for what you get out of it, because like each house, you'd have your customer information, their email, their phone number, their, you know, anything you want would be included in that. So it would simplify your office stuff as well. You know, and you
But
can
only for
organize things.
information that's already been input, so
This
there's a
is
lot of
only,
gaps.
all you have is what you put into it.
Right,
There's
okay.
nothing else available other than what you put into it. So,
Okay.
What's it called?
Jobber.
Can you spell that?
Jobber. And this would be kind of a non-design purpose of it, but you guys can keep it for scheduling software for your guy. You guys find other reasons to use it too,
Well,
so.
I think what we'll first do is see what data is you're
Captured.
capturing with it and see if you can export the data, and then we don't need a scheduling software like you do, but we need the data.
Yeah,
We
I think
need-
it's an all or nothing kind of system, but it's,
But if we get the data, if it exports, then we can put it into our own form
Yeah.
here, which would be.
we'll figure out how to do it. I'll send you guys over 57 and what we captured on that one, so you can kind of see what it
That's
would
great.
look like.
I'm gonna try to let him go so he
Yep.
can go.
I just have a quick
Yeah, I was gonna
question.
say, what if you guys have questions?
I do, and just talk real quickly to this, you talk quickly anyway. I wanna get back to the Upper Lakeview project, which Dawson is currently working on. I got
Yep.
a 3-part question. One, when do you expect it to go operational? 2, are there any potential and foreseeable problems that could happen once it has gone operational? And 3, how long should we wait to make sure this is working as it should before we're saying, okay, all's good and we can pay Dawson?
Okay, so I will know more when I get back up there. They were exploratory, trying to find that pipe, so that would be one of the 2 pipes. That's just a tough one. They might be all the rest of the day trying to find that pipe. They might have it all uncovered when I show up there. I don't know which. Our guy's just up there to be able to shut the main off if something goes wrong.
Right.
So, I would expect that by the end of day Thursday, which I think is longer than what they expect, but let's say things don't go well and they have to spend a day tapping one, a day tapping the other, and then tying it together on the 3rd day. I would say by the end of day Thursday, this should be operational.
Okay.
Foreseeable pitfalls with it. I think we're still going to see some issues with reducing pressure going down lower Lakeview. Whatever degree I could express that. I mean, you guys would be talking about having to, but we'll have to look into, so the lowest we can set the existing PRV, I think, is 25 PSI. I think it's set to like 35. So we're gonna have a very small difference in that downhill pressure going to the farthest extent of the system, that 42 and 44 Oak Ridge, and maybe even a few up above that, are still probably gonna be in the 130 PSI range.
Because it's so far away, it's building up pressure on the output of the PRV.
It's just that you can only shut a PRV down so far. Like the standard models are 25 to 75 PSI models. So the lowest pressure you can set it. Now, I'm not telling you that doesn't mean there's not a 0 PSI model out there that we can retrofit into
But if
that.
it gets all the way down to 25 is the lowest, maybe?
Yeah.
But it's gravity that's building the pressure up, the pipe's so far down that
Right.
pressure's back
So-
up. It needs another PRV.
It's unfortunately kind of what I'm saying. That and or
Discussed last week.
if we can find a 0 PSI model and that can allow for like or 5 PSI model or something, the question mark now becomes that first house on the left, as you go down that, goat path, class 6, whatever it is, and you get that first house over on the left. If I set it to 0 at that PRV and that house was
what their
here,
pressure's
am I now
gonna be.
dropping them down to 25 PSI?
That's Kathy Kozel, I believe.
Yeah, I think it is Kathy. So obviously that would defeat the purpose. So we still have to maintain 35, 40, 45 PSI
Which
at
is
her
a
house.
snooze PRV the further down the line.
So ideally, the
For a
PRV
few
would have been
houses.
probably on lower Lakeview, somewhere down there. Would be,
It's the way it is.
that's the way it is. We feed a very large, it's not a lot of homes, but it's a large area that's being fed with those pipes, and you're in the highest elevation
On a
change
hill.
part of the system,
Right.
so
Right.
it's,
On a hill.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're running into these problems, there's not really any way around it. So that's the pitfall that I can foresee as a potential. Every other zone I think is gonna be great. You're gonna have much higher pressure on Upper Lakeview. You're gonna have perfect pressure down past the PRV points. That's very easy to adjust. To some degree, I mean, we've already gone downhill quite a ways for you at Rigi. I don't know the elevation, so I can't speak exactly, but you're gonna see the lowest point out of the Rigi section, the cross-country line, might have 90 to 100 PSI as well, but it almost immediately goes back uphill to like this, where it'll be like 70. The tail end of Upper Lakeview, which is only gonna be like 2 houses that are connected to that second PRV, well, obviously isn't the cost of it. The pit was already in, it just makes sense to adjust that. Those will be whatever the heck we want them to be. We'll be able to adjust those as needed. So, that's the one pitfall I see. What was the 3rd question?
How long do we need to wait so everything
I think-
works the way you're happy
Yeah,
with, we're happy with,
Right.
I would like, and I talked to
Before-
Andy about this morning,
before we
I would like,
authorize final payment? We do owe them one last payment.
Okay,
But I don't wanna give it to them till,
I think that mechanically we're gonna be fine. Obviously, if I have any issue with that, that's why we're up there. We're gonna be involved in this, which is great. So we can address those issues if they come up, which I don't expect them to. But if we have any mechanical issues, we'll address them there and then. I want drawings. I would like a drawing of the pits and the valving. That was the last thing I talked to Andy about before we left. Is like, hey, I still don't. We were talking about putting that online. I'm like, you explain it to me, but I need a drawing of this. I need to know where, so when I'm not there, he can do, or whatever, whoever gets the explanation.
well, you need it, but we need it too.
Everybody
Yes.
needs it, it's something that needs to be captured. So, like I just said, we have that all brand new main up there. I still don't know where the isolation valves are. I know where they are in the pits, in the pump house, but come down to the PRV pits, it's like, no idea. Can't find them, haven't had any luck with it, so, I think it just, that's the biggest thing that I would require pre-payment is a drawing, a functional drawing of what we have. which-
Okay, so that's a good demarcate,
Yeah, and that has been said to be a holding factor on everything, and of course it never happens, so
No.
hey, money speaks, BS walks. you know?
right, so, I think we just, moving forward, if we actually toe that line, make it very clear in the beginning of these projects, I'm sure it was, I don't know, but I'm sure it was discussed. I think it was on the engineer, to be honest with you, not even, I don't think it's on the contractor, but the contractor has to be able to supply the engineer with tie cards, or ties to these things for the engineer to produce a drawing. I don't know if that's an issue we're gonna run into, cause I don't know if the engineer of note, if they're still on the hook for it, even though they don't work here, I have no idea how these things work, so, but I do believe that the drawings were on the palette of the engineer, not the contractor. Outside of the contractor giving hand-drawn, like we do tie cards for our own valves and stuff, something to the engineer that's usable for them to create a drawing with.
But didn't you say there was no engineering?
Well, the project as a whole was engineered by Jones and Beach once upon a time. And then it's
You
had
have
4
those
different
records?
iterations from them.
Upper Lakeview?
I thought Upper Lakeview was an add alt to the original project. Don't hold me to that either, cause I've been very.
The contract the village paid $75,000, $25,000 apiece for 3 PIVs.
And I think that was part of an alt, an additional alternative to, if there was money available at the end of the contract, or whatever, maybe they just found money, or whatever the deal was. So usually any bidder that put in a price on the job would have had to do it to the additional alternative projects that were like, okay, hey, you spent $1 million, but we have 200,000 left, what can we spend it on?
I'm not sure that's the way it worked.
Okay.
I think the hard number, it wasn't an alternative. That 75 was in the actual bid, not
Okay.
to add on if money was left.
So I don't know. I never saw the engineering on
And I
it.
never saw any design on it. The first engineering input I saw on it was when Nick's schedule was,
I think
pull back
I
into
think
it.
if you dig into it, I go to Jones and Beach, who was the original engineer on this, and it was a state project, so I guarantee there was engineering on this, and you would be right in being surprised that some of this stuff got through with engineering review from the state, but it did. But there's almost no chance that there wasn't some semblance of a drawing for that contractor to put a number on the pit and just say it's 25 per pit. Which is actually better than I thought it was. I thought it was a lot worse than that, so that's not that bad. In the grand scheme of things for what those state contracts can run up, so. So anyway, I would start with Jones and Beach, state of New Hampshire, they'll have a review on copy, a copy on, for review at the state that they'll have the engineered drawings. There may be something out there for what they were supposed to be, but again, I don't know entirely.
one last thing,
Yep,
the bicarb.
yeah, I wanted to catch up on that too.
Emailed back and forth, so we're gonna put we're changing the CCR to say that there's no bicarb system operating.
Yeah,
I don't know if
obviously,
we should
it's
put a
been
statement
over a
in there that-
decade, so.
Yeah, I don't know if we should say that it hasn't been there for a while, even though the
No.
CCR's. But reading your stuff, I think what I wanna do is have I don't know if Nick knows that isn't operational, hasn't been operational for a while. I'd like to hear his opinion as to whether it should be,
Okay,
and taking your input that the current system isn't up to, I'll say, code or spec for what the state would want it to be for the installation itself. I also have a use of that old mixer.
that's big, that's a good mixer.
Well, we're also paying $5,000 for a tank of calcium chloride pre-mixed. And
There you go.
that thing, we could
That's it.
move that into the DPW and mix our own sodium calcium chloride.
Right.
Yeah,
And so I love coming from an old line of Yankees, I love being
Yeah,
able
old parts.
two birds with one bird.
Yeah.
And then talk to Nick about, because my understanding back from 1995 was that this sodium bicarb was an agent to be used with the sodium hydroxide.
Yeah.
It stabilized it. It affected pH a little bit itself.
Alkalinity primarily, and then coating on the pipes. So was the two, when bicarb was heavily used, and it was, like everywhere, heavily used, years ago, those were the two primary functions of going with, if you had a hydroxide addition as well. Now, of course, pH adjustment is part of a bicarb or soda ash or carbonate or whatever you want to use. Obviously, depending on which one you use, one can adjust alkalinity more, one can adjust pH.
So all I want to do is tell you that I want to now get the boys to agree that we're going to say to Nick, here's the situation that we've been running without it for a while. Does he recommend that we go back to it?
Yep,
And if we do, then he's gonna have to specify a new equipment to do it, and we'll take the old equipment out of the bicarb end of it. and-
Yeah, and I think I put it in the email that the decision was made at the time, whatever board it was, that, when this got discussed with replacing some of the parts and pieces that were needed to be done to meet the sanitary survey, we can't get the pH high enough with just bicarb. So we actually explored it pretty heavily, because I hate hydroxide, it's dangerous, it's not something I like my people working around, I don't like it being anywhere. But it's a necessary evil in some situations, and you guys are one of them. The amount of water you move, out of that well, it's 140 gallons a minute, and that, how low that pH is, which is like 5.5, give or take, depending on the season, it requires a hefty adjustment. So, of course, there's not a lot of alkalinity change from a hydroxide, that's where that sodium bicarb will come in, but our numbers have been holding very well as far as, there's probably a little more bounce to the pH than there was before, but it's staying in range, and you're getting, you're passing your lead and coppers, the things that we care about
Yeah.
with the pH, and the cost of hydroxide versus soda ash. I mean, soda ash is up to like $10 a bag, you guys, to get it, functional over there, you'd probably be using, I'm trying to remember what we used to do in that, but I wanna say 50, it's typically a pound per gallon, or worst case scenario, 1 pound per 2 gallons, depending on your mix. And we burn through a 300 gallon tank, so you're talking, say we use 5 or 6 bags a week, it's $60 a week in just soda ash. So, what you're not coming close to well, you just got the delivery and.
I don't think we were using that much. Jude used to do it.
Yeah, I'd have to go
She
back
wasn't doing 6 bags a week.
Okay, and I'm not trying to overstate it either, I'm just
Why
saying.
don't we just let Nick tell us what,
Absolutely, because I have no dog in the fight.
Right.
If you guys wanna add the soda ash back in, we
he might have
easily.
he might have an
reinstitute
alternative
that.
to it all anyway.
So you hit that, you guys had the broken water lines, there's really not a lot to discuss on that, that was just contractors doing different things, like one of them was in the backyard, never would've guessed that they
So,
were.
so one of them was on Interlaken, and I don't have a clear picture. If we could know, we don't wanna hold simply water from going out to an emergency call to shut water off.
Should never.
Right.
But we should also know as soon as possible, so we can see what it looks like too.
Well, that's what we try to, we get a call from the contractor.
Yeah.
That, they just
They're
pull the
stuck.
water main out of the ground, got
But they're telling
150.
you the address of where you're going to.
Yeah,
I don't think the last one with Nate Howard, we even got the address.
Did we know the address? when
Well,
we
I
went
think
out?
there was some confusion with the address, I think.
Yeah.
whatever we have for information,
Yeah.
all I do is, so I was on the road, I got a call, contractor says, I got a broken line,
Yeah.
the Interlake, and the guy told me it was, Appinvale.
Yeah.
Just put that
Yeah,
in.
something-
So I show
yeah.
up to Appinvale and there's no one there, and I'm like, what the
Yeah.
hell?
No.
So, all I do is I just called Lisa and said, hey, call their office, get them to
What's
give
the
me
new
a
address?
work order, so as far as the details on it, I'm with you, I mean, the more we can give you, the better, but my
Cause we have to
primary.
chase them for the amount and.
And I do understand that. My primary concern, I'm not trying to take that away from you guys. If I can get the info, or if I can get my stuff to start getting over there and have Lisa and Jennifer start working on getting the other pertinent details for you guys' purposes, great. But I mean, I just want to get going, because we have,
Yes,
depending on how bad it is.
Don't wanna hold up. the
Right, so
start.
we're same page. If we had the info, I'm sure it would've got pushed over. If we didn't, and there was some missing piece of info, I apologize. I know she called me looking for I think you asked for the contract. I don't even know, I didn't even know who it was when I got the call. So we can record that stuff once we get there and make sure it gets onto and into you guys' files, but, sometimes, I don't know. The first one I didn't really know who it was either. I can't remember what the name of the contractor was, but it's no one
Yeah.
no one I know.
T&K was it?
We know what it is now.
TDK?
Yeah, so whoever it was, nice guys, I mean, these are things ideally, this is, the whole purpose of Dig Safe, we don't.
Right.
They call so that we know they're doing it, cause I would never have guessed specifically the second one. The first one I would've been, guys, be careful, curb valve here, you're digging through here, you're digging down 4.5 feet, there's absolutely a chance you're gonna come across the water line. Second one, I mean, short of going out and us actually finding the valve, which I don't think we had a card for, right?
No.
So we made one, but we didn't have a card for that one. So short of us going out, finding the valve and being like, ooh, you're digging frost posts, the water line is going right through there.
So that's all, we just.
Yeah.
if-
Yep.
We'll
give you everything
talking
we
about
can.
that as it happens, we'll point out how fast this is happening for us and see where we can get better.
Okay.
Gotcha.
The only other thing I know, the access for the pump houses, I think I made that clear. You guys obviously, as the owners of the system, have full access to the pump houses. My only request is that we are notified that you guys are going in, or I said, my only requests, I should say, is that we have notification you guys are going in, and that we don't go in needlessly, right? I mean, so just try to be have a purpose for going in. I know that sounds stupid, but it's been an issue in the past, you just kind of want to go see stuff, and it's like, there's a lot going on in there, in all of these stations that can be inadvertently changed. So just be very cognizant, and safety too. I mean, a couple specific stations like Oak, watch your step. If you go to step in, there's typically an open hatch.
I've been
Obviously,
going to these stations for
right.
40 years.
I know. I'm just they've with those touch screens and the speed on the Jungfrau pump. If you you lean back and you hit that thing, it doesn't take anything to twist that. Some of this stuff was there probably the last time you went in. Some of it was not. And I'm not talking about just you. I'm just talking about if whoever wants to go in and see them. I mean, obviously you guys have access. That means you have access with somebody else if you so choose. Just make sure people are aware and that we're aware, so that if something comes up, we have a starting point. Like we had one where a pump got shut off by somebody, and we chased our tail across the whole system looking for a problem, and it turned out there was a pump off. And it's like, had we known that somebody was in that pump house, that would have been the very
Okay.
first place that we went. See, this goes along with
Yeah, we're
letting
not
us,
doing that.
I know, but it was actually a subcontractor. It wasn't
Yeah,
it wasn't,
somebody else
it was a
that-
propane guy.
Yeah.
We'll let you know, don't worry.
Yeah, well, that's it.
I'll
It's
let
just
you know.
because it gives us, all we want to know is what's going on. Like I said to Nancy, I think it would be a very good idea to do, I know we did a walkthrough a couple years ago, but it would be a very good idea for you guys to get a
Yes.
current walkthrough on the system and see
Yep.
things that, I've forgotten them. We bring them up time, 2 times, 10 times, they stop coming up. And, there's some issues in these pump houses that need addressing. So most of it is at this point structural. The big stuff is, they've done a pretty good job over the last 8 years, 10 years of mechanically updating most of, if not all of these pump houses, but there remain some structural issues, specifically at Summit, Oak, they try, but I mean, there's just issues with these buildings I'd just like you guys to see, so that we can decide if we wanna, invest in them.
So let's end it here and
Yep.
say, we'll go back to the contract where you guys are here once a month.
Yep,
We're at the point now we're actually got ahead and we're treading water. So we can get back to some,
if we wanna do a couple times a month, twice a month or something, or you want just once a month?
well, the contract is once a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change anything for that, cause I
Let's do
added.
it once a month, and then
Okay.
if on a, if
Right,
there's some
right,
need
if-
for a second
yes.
time, that's, we call that, but
Yep.
otherwise just once a month.
Cause I like to stay involved in it, if we can just do the
Yeah.
first meeting of the month, if that works for you guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll let you know ahead of time if I know I'm gonna be unavailable for some reason. Obviously, things come up that we have to,
Yeah.
emergency chase. At some point, you guys may start seeing Noah without me or whatnot,
Okay.
depends on what's going on. The deeper the issues, I'll be here. If there's just an update, maybe you'll see Noah, he's gonna take over, in some respects as a primary operator here. A couple of our larger water systems, we're not, I'm always involved in every one of them, but as like a day-to-day operational guy. So a lot of what you might have to ask would be better answered by the guys that are in the field doing it. So
Yep.
So you're
outside
talking
of,
about coming back July 2nd.
what is today? I mean,
Today's
if you want-
25th.
if you wanna just get on, path with that, that's great. Or, well, what is it, July
Unless we
5th?
need them.
July 2nd, is it?
July 2nd?
Tuesday.
It's a very tight week. That's a week that I would actually probably ask to switch from, because it's only a
Correct.
3-day week
I
for
would
it.
agree with that.
July 9th?
And
Let's
it's
do it.
next week.
I wish
Let's
we
do
wouldn't
it.
have a meeting altogether.
July 9th meeting, and then we'll jump on for August for the first week of the
Very
month.
good.
All right,
Okay, that
July 9th
works.
meeting.
All right, great.
I don't think I have anything else, guys. I got the work orders through from you. I got one other I'll shoot over that was actually it was that 2 little loop. I missed that and sending it over to you. Found a bleeding curb valve over there, so we gotta dig that up and replace it. That's it. Everything else is starting to look pretty good actually around town, so. Excellent. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
All right, have a good time up
Thank
there
you.
in
Thank
Lakeview.
Thank you,
Yes,
Ann.
we'll let you know what we find.
Thank you, Noah.
Thank you very much. See you guys later.
Thanks, Noah.
Enjoy your 4th.
You
Yeah,
too.
you too.
4th of July. Thank you.
No fireworks in Madison, though.
Administrator's
so-
report?
I just wanted to ask about the water hookup at 22 Hutwell. I know that you were kind of overseeing, like, what was going on over there.
Yep.
I didn't see that Simply Water was involved in any of that. So, I just wanted to know if he was even aware of it. I guess we didn't have a chance to
Did you
ask
give him a
him.
work order yet?
No, mm-mm.
So issue a work order for, is it 22 hot well,
Right,
22
but I'm
burn, is
actually
it?
surprised that they haven't needed him yet with what's going on over there, which is kind of concerning,
I'll be right back.
They put in a permit
huh?
Yeah, we have a water hookup
Yeah.
application.
application for 22
Yes, and
hot well.
Nick's schedule approved it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's going in on the hot well side, not the burn side?
I don't know.
That's-
No, Mark had all the, I'm pretty sure Mark had all the paperwork,
Okay.
and I looked at the office and I'm
Right.
not sure if he passed it off to you.
He
I
did
don't know
not.
where it is, so
Okay.
he must still have it. I just don't want things to get lost and.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I believe it's gonna come in from the burn side. Is what the contractor's
right,
thinking is.
but I've gotten no calls or any
Mm-hmm.
requests to get Ian over there or Simply Water to do anything, and I'm kind of a bit concerned as to,
Yeah, I don't think they actually have the line
okay, ready.
set up yet
Okay.
for
All right,
inspection.
Gotcha,
They haven't,
okay.
I drove by it this morning and it doesn't appear that
All
they've
right.
already
All right, good.
created the
That's
trench.
good to know.
The
Okay.
trench,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
My question is the site company gonna do the excavation out to the main, or someone else? We didn't talk to Ian about,
Because he's got the equipment to do that now, right?
yes,
Yeah.
because he just did
Right.
Otherwise Drive.
right,
So it starts with the work order,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we're at that point that we
Yep.
issue the work order for the
correct,
installation
but
of burn.
somebody has the paperwork for 22 Hutwell.
What paperwork?
The
Application.
application,
For-
the whole,
For water.
it was a whole, and I know you were involved with it. Unless it's at the office and I don't know where, but I know that
We're trying to locate the
we're
paperwork.
trying to locate the paperwork.
Oh, look, I don't think I have, it's Ray Marino is the
Yeah,
owner.
it's Marino.
And you set eyes on it at one point, or no?
Yes, it was at the office. It was left out on purpose
Okay.
because we knew this was going on, and it doesn't seem to be around unless it was filed. But I didn't.
I'm not sure where it
I
is.
left it out, and neither do
I'll take a look, but I don't think I have it.
Alright. Okay. That's it for that. I have nothing for my report, a lot of it tied into what we were talking with Ian about and DPW, so
So you're all set?
I'm all set.
Okay, so at 10:32, we'll go to commissioners' reports.
Okay,
I did send an email to the Skater Engineering Company asking for the quote that he talked about with us for the rack-mounted Dell.
Yes, I saw
Yeah,
that.
saw that, yeah.
PC. FEMA. FEMA sent two people up yesterday. One of them was from FEMA, one of them was from New Hampshire Homeland Security Emergency Management. And they worked with Jeff and Tony and went through GPS coordinates using Google Maps to itemize where the pipes' locations are. I met with them just to introduce myself, say hi to them, and the lady from FEMA, Monique Gallant, was saying that she's going to ask the FEMA management if they will just approve all of the pipes that they cleaned last year, all of the culverts they cleaned last year, that are the driveway culverts and the crossroad culverts, and just say that they're all 30 inches or less, and not need to put the GPS coordinates in all the pipes, all the culverts. And if they do approve that, then we're done with that and that can move forward to approval of reimbursement for the cost of the equipment, manpower to do that last year to clean what Jeff had listed out. If they don't, then we're gonna have to do GPS mapping of each of the colors. And I'll talk to her about how that gets done. They wanted to know the horsepower of the backhoe and the grader. I didn't know off the top of my head. I don't even know the model numbers of it. But while they were here, they got the model numbers of it, and she said she was all set with that. I guess they wanted that information because they reimburse per hour of use of the equipment, and they want a record of what the equipment is exactly that they're reimbursing
We
for.
probably have a rate for each different type of piece of
Yes.
equipment out there.
I ordered 3 highway signs,
Saw that, yeah.
and there's a 30% savings on that, so it went from being something like $72 down to $48 to get the 3 signs. So we'll have 3 examples. There'll be Presidential View, Oak Ridge, and Bigelow. Those should be in July 2nd, I think, July 9th. It will take about a week or more.
They're being delivered to the office?
No,
Okay,
they were sent to me. I was gonna order them from the office, set up an account. I will do that if everybody likes the signs and likes the price, we go into that more, then I'll set up an account and we'll do it from the office. We'll design them at the office and have them shipped to the office and so forth. Trash was dumped at
Tussis.
Thusis Beach. They took advantage of the fact that the parking is a traffic circle. You can drive in and sort of be hidden from sight and unload next to where we now have those porta potty. I was gonna ask Jeff if he has trash bags and gloves. What do they do when they pick that stuff up? Because you need something like that. It's nasty stuff. And I'm hoping we can get the neighborhood watch back into effect. When I dug out the sign, I put up the sign for the fireworks. I don't know if you've seen that. I do that at mid-June every year and take it down mid-September every year.
Where do you put that?
Hmm?
Where do you put that? Where
Right
do you
at the
post that?
entrance.
Right near the entrance sign and
Oh, okay.
the trees in the
Mhm,
background.
yep.
Is the EPA doing the hedge trim, the rhododendron trimming this Saturday morning?
I believe Ralph said he now had a time conflict. That was his times that he could do it.
Doug, Ralph, you said.
Well, I thought Ralph was gonna come in and help, because he was like a expert on these kind of things.
Huh.
What I understand was he said he could do it at this time, but now he's come back and say now he can't do it at that time. So that's all I know. Whether that's gonna go forward or not, I'm uncertain.
Good to
You
know.
don't need Ralph.
What's that?
You can do it yourself, you don't need Ralph.
I think he believes he's an expert, so.
He is a master
The-
gardener.
The
Gardener.
EPOA wasn't going to refuse his help. They
Right.
welcomed it, but then,
Okay, so that's questionable. So,
is this at the entrance as well?
yes. In digging out the banner to put up on the trees, I found brand new neighborhood watch signs. And I'm hoping the EPOA picks up and starts promoting neighborhood watch, because this trash thing is part of that, is that if people knew that we were looking for this problem to be solved, then maybe we can reduce it. Drainage. I see, here's a 1-minute speech. I see investing in the drainage for Idlewise to be more important than the road surfaces. Investing the amount of money we did in Oak Ridge Road to have, I think, the best paving job, the best installation of paving that we've had done, is kind of a lost cause, because Idlewise is still under development. 60 years later, we're having another boom. And having cement trucks and construction equipment and excavators getting trailered in and out damages the roads. It's just a fact. One fully loaded truck causes the same damage as 9,600 car passes. They've tested this as on a paved road, the one car passing will damage the road by the weight of the car and the subsurfaces.
Oh.
One truck driving by does the equivalent of 9,600 cars. Just to give you an idea what a truck is doing to the roads. So to be investing in the roads because people want to drive their cars on smooth roads is costing us a lot because of the fact that development happens randomly, because this is not a development that's being done from beginning to end by a developer. It was lots being sold that are still being sold. Drainage. In the news, they said South Dakota got 18 inches of rain in a 2-day period. 18 inches. We suffered incredibly with 4 inches and 5 inches. When I read Florida gets 10-inch rainstorms, I wonder what would happen otherwise. It would be incredible damage with a 10-inch rain. To see South Dakota that far north getting 18 inches of rain, we need to increase the quality of our drainage system tremendously. It's going to take years to do it. So that's just a thought I have. That's the way I'm operating is I see improving the drainage system more important than improving the road travel surfaces. One thing about it is not only construction damages it, we have to keep pouring money into the surfaces, but good quality surfaces encourage people to drive faster. And so there's a
Well,
level.
that's true. That's why a lot of towns don't repair their roads.
There's,
That's why I asked about the speed bump.
there's a level.
Yeah.
There's a level of quality that we need to keep our equipment from being damaged, so that we can
Yes.
provide health, safety, and welfare by keeping the roads clear in the wintertime. But that's my minimum. That's anything above that is encouraging speed and is going to waste because we have to rebuild them because we have continuing development. So that's that speech, and that was maybe a minute. And that's what I have for this week. Primex. Sorry.
Yeah, one more thing for this week.
Yeah.
Primex asked for a transaction statement for the fraudulent transaction that happened on March 5th. Took me a while to read that and understand it because I was in the process of trying to scan the bank statement, which I reread his email to me, and he said that he had reviewed the bank statement, that he was looking for a transaction statement. I don't know what a transaction statement looks like, but I forwarded that to the fraud department at the Bank of New Hampshire, Drew Muzzy, that I've been communicating with since March 6th. And evidently he passed that on to Bambi Lane, who's a vice president at Bank of New Hampshire and was involved with the TAN. And I had recently told her that we weren't doing a TAN with them because we got a better deal at Northway. Bambi Lane responded saying, "What are you looking for specifically in a transaction statement?"
It's transaction data. It's the data that they used in authorizing this to go through. Like what?
Even
what's
that doesn't sound
data?
specific to me.
Would it be from,
Oh,
What
I
account-
don't want to solve that problem.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
reporting what I did.
all right,
Right? So I took her statement, quoted it, and sent it back to the senior claims agent at Primex, the insurance company, and said, I asked for it, and could I have been any more specific than asking for the transaction statement for this particular transaction on this date and showing her the bank statement that had it on it? So I'm waiting to hear back from him. Specifically, what am I looking for? I'm looking for specifically what he's looking for.
Yeah,
And now I'm asking
Yep.
him to tell me specifically,
all right.
right?
Yeah.
Right,
So I'm just telling you
That
that's
makes
what it
sense,
is.
yep.
It's
Yep.
now, it's turning into July. This transaction happened on March 5th. Here's the bank that we have people on our end, whatever their logo is. So that's where that is now. And that's the end of my report.
Okay. I've got two what I'm gonna call PSAs and one thing that may require a motion. And the first PSA, and this is for, I'm gonna direct this at Madison TV. ties into what you were talking about before, about roads are not your priority, drainage is, because if the roads are in poor shape, people won't drive as fast. Well, let's talk about that. I read with great sadness recently in the hometown that I grew up in, New York, that a mother and her 5-year-old child was killed by, they were crossing the street on a perfect crosswalk, and they were hit by, guess what they were hit by? A bus driver in his bus, a school bus driver.
What?
All right? So if someone trained like that can cause that sort of accident, anybody can do it. And we know that we're coming up to the season where it's going to be a lot of people using our beaches. People are going to be in, and you see families in bathing suits coming to and for the beaches on Idlewice Drive, kids on bicycles or scooters, and yet people are racing on Idlewice Drive way faster than they should be, especially now once they get past the speed bumps. So just from me to anybody who's watching this, please drive responsibly, observe the speed limits, and for those of you, if you're on a neighborhood watch, even if you're not on a neighborhood watch, although this would be a good neighborhood watch thing too, you can always do what I do. I have no problem pissing off a driver who's behind me trying to go faster
Yep.
than the speed limit. I'll just drive at the speed limit, and if they're still tailgating me, I'll go even slower. And I don't care if they flip me the bird. That's my way of attacking the problem, and it only works for that one particular instance. But hey, it's good. It's good. Let's all be mindful of the pedestrians out there, especially the children. Well, everyone,
The little old lady.
and the dogs too. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Second PSA, and I got some pictures, so you may need to zoom the camera. I noticed, interestingly enough, last week when Mark, Nancy, and I were doing driveway inspections to go over all the permits, there was at least one house, there was a house on it, there may have been more, that didn't have the Idlewice street sign on it. We were trying to figure out what the heck address this was. At a minimum, every house should have an identification as to what number it is on the street. And, these are the nicest, the one with the Idlewice logo, but they're not even necessarily the best. And I'll tell you why. There's another one. Some people may have seen these. It's a red placard. It's much bigger than the Idlewice sign with white numbers on it.
Yeah, you get them
Okay?
from the fire department.
That's right. You can buy these for $25 from the Madison Fire Department, and someone, Jay Buckley, even though he doesn't live here full-time anymore, says he'll come out personally and attach it in front of your home. And these you can see really well at nighttime, and, God forbid you ever have an emergency where the fire department or some other emergency services need to find your house quickly. These work very well. Except when they're covered by branches and trees growing out. Some people that's happened to. They have these signs and still can't read it, but that's at least they have it up. They just need to clean up. So that's all I'm saying. Let's please get your houses marked out with numbers. So especially for the emergency services, it's for your own safety and for the safety of your house and property. So those are my two PSAs. Now for my final thing I want to talk about is, I think I might need a motion, is now that we're have a little bit more cash due to the tan, I'd like to make a motion that I can reach out to the contractors to do work on the Summit Cabana for the VDOE record storage. That's an electrician and also a individual to fix the doors and secure the space, so there's a lot more security than there is now. Both the interior and the exterior doors are in very bad shape anyway, but by replacing them, we're adding security to the
So
location.
you should make a motion and then do the discussion.
Okay, I make a motion to contact the individuals who gave us RFQs to do that work.
Second.
Can I just ask a question? Does that mean getting new quotes?
No,
Okay.
we got a warrant article back in March at the annual meeting approved for a grand total of $7,500 to do
Okay.
this work.
Okay.
So the motion is to contact them to begin the work.
To start scheduling them in, because it involves, when they're in that structure, either Doug is the village clerk and me as the assistant village clerk, we're gonna have to be there the entire time anyway for security purposes, so it affects our schedules too. So we need to get them scheduled in.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
That's all I have.
Nancy?
Well, happy to say, this will be the last week of significant over driveways. We've finished through the piles that we found in the drawers and in the DPW building. And so these are this week's. Sent this to the office and to
Now, these for
you
construction or
you two.
operation?
These are operations for final operations. The first one is 56 Hutwell. That's the Habitat for Humanity house. That was very well done.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve that for operation?
Second.
All right. So just start signing.
Yep.
3-0? How do you vote, Nancy?
Aye.
3-0. Oh, well. 2 teeth.
I suppose I could have signed that one first, but.
Whatever.
Zip it back to you.
Okay, the next one is 24 Burn Drive. The house has already been built, and the only note that we have on it is in okay.
You get these?
So,
Yeah.
To look for.
so we'll do a motion to approve the driveway permit for operations for 24 Burn Drive.
Second.
All right.
Aye.
3-0, no discussion.
The next one we have is 4 Chicora View Drive. Yep, the house has already been built, and this was the compliant one, because there's 2 new houses up there. One of them's in the expired list, and the other one is the okay. So that's 4 Chicora Review. So make a motion that we sign the permit for operations for Chicora Review.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
3-0.
And the last one for operations at this time is 52 Burn Drive. And again, the only note that I found on anything said okay. So make a motion to approve the driveway permit for operations for 52 Burn Drive.
40
Second.
seconds. How's everybody vote? 3-0?
Aye.
Aye.
And this is the group of driveways that we're going to be sending the expired letter for, because these have all expired. Many of them, this one's 21, so it's 3 years expired. And there has not been any final,
Disposition.
yeah.
What's the
yeah.
address?
This one is 5 Briston Stock. This is the one that the house is actually on Rhineac.
Oh.
And the driveways are actually on Rhineac.
Right.
And the house has a number 3 Rhineac sign on it.
Oh,
But this says Briston Stock.
huh,
So there's
There's
yeah,
confusion
yeah,
there.
there's confusion there, so if we send them the expired letter, they should get in touch with us and we can start a new inspection round, shall we say.
Yeah, that was confusing, yeah.
okay, I'm still confused, because it says needs second application. Is that the application for a driveway that's at Briston Stock?
No, it's actually, there's 2 driveways
and
and
they're
they're
both
both on Rhineac.
Right, but the address we had was, they listed as 3 Briston Stock.
5.
5, so it's confusing. What are you going by?
And it's definitely,
It is definitely
These
on
people.
Rhineac. And like I said,
Okay.
there's a house sign on the front near the garage doors that says 3. So that would be a Rhineac address.
okay.
And it was
Right.
100 degrees when we were trying to figure out where we were.
Right. Because-
Yeah, and
Because
where
there's
the
a-
second driveway could possibly be.
Right. Because there is that first number 1 house on Briston Stock, then you go up, there's number 3, which I believe is the guy's related to this construction house. So the next one, if it was a Briston Stock address, logically would be 5, and that's what they listed on the original
Application.
application.
Yes, but when you look at the house,
But when you look at the house from Rhineac Place, it has a number 3 on it. So I think he wants his address now as 3 Rhineac. Can you really do that? Does the original
Of
property
course.
lot? you
Corner
can do-
lots you
okay.
get
of course,
choose.
corner lots, you get to
Get
choose which one.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
And it's,
That makes
and
sense.
in order to comply with the 911 laws.
Yep.
So that people can actually find
Yeah,
your house.
right.
It needs to have a Rhineac address.
Okay,
The
Okay.
house numbering is all on the town of Madison. They do that, we don't do that.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So at some point it changed, okay,
Yes,
after the original application.
correct.
Got it.
So this one is also going to get the expired. There is no driveway construction on this one. It's 53 Burn Drive. It was given a permit in 2018, and no construction, nothing has ever happened with it. So if we send them the revoke,
Letter saying,
the,
start again before
Right.
you start wanting to build.
right, and this is,
Revoke.
so you're revoking.
yes, those were for you, we added those, a couple of them. So the,
So this isn't even on the list.
no, this is us,
No, this isn't on that list that they
oh,
had, it's not even listed.
huh,
So even the permit number is 2018 and 1,
oh, okay,
so it's not even on this list.
You can add it to
well,
it,
we can,
Okay.
just add it.
yeah, and when they get in touch with us, it'll have a 2019,
Yeah, the
I
whole,
mean,
the whole
2018.
list has to get updated anyway.
Yeah. yeah, and once they get in touch with us.
But it's definitely 53 Burn Drive.
Yes.
Because there were other ones on this list, there's a 52 Burn on here.
Uh-huh,
There's other
Okay.
burns,
right,
but it's definitely 52.
One
Yep.
more?
4
One
more?
more?
53, okay.
Um,
Well, no, because then we've got this, that we had to review again, the ones that we pulled from last time,
right,
so.
so we got this
Okay.
one also, this one, there's a foundation. So it's 47 Hotwell Drive. There's a foundation,
Really?
but the driveway that exists that was, I'm not even finding anything where the commissioners ever historically
Is that the one on the hill?
Yes,
gave them a,
there's no culvert,
Permit.
there's no way to drive
It's
onto
not on
that.
the list, what's the permit number?
this one is 2019-48.
And it's Hutwell?
Yep,
Oh, it is on the list.
yep, 47 Hutwell,
This is Ed Mayo.
yes. Yes.
Okay,
So that's definitely, and this one is damaging the road significantly. So hopefully he will get in touch with us shortly. If not, we're gonna have to talk about sending a cease and desist. So that no further construction happens and we can start working with him to get it properly set.
so he never got a construction one to begin with?
Correct.
He went ahead and built a,
Correct, and there's already a
Amazing.
foundation. There's one report, one inspection report, but there's nothing
That's
from
it.
the
We
commissioners there.
did get the okay to construct.
oh no,
I was at that meeting of the previous board.
Oh? I didn't find a copy of it.
yeah, and they didn't put it on the list as approved, I don't think. Let's see.
They approved it when the inspector
Mayo.
came back for the third time. We're
Oh,
supposed to have an
approval for
engineering design,
construction
came
has
from
a
the
date
septic
on it.
design, they approved it.
Oh,
They
okay.
didn't sign it.
6/14/22 it has on the list.
Well, either way,
We
it's
just don't have
definitely
a copy of it.
expired and we can
Yep.
Okay,
get in touch with them for
alright, sounds good,
a start over.
yep, wow,
The next one is 65 Hutwell Drive. They were given construction permit in 23. And there's no house and doesn't appear to be much activity at all going at this lot. So
okay.
they'll need to get in touch with us and start over.
Yeah, I haven't heard from any of the other ones that we've sent letters on. You'd think that we'd hear from somebody by now.
Yeah, especially the ones where they've started some type of construction.
I know.
That's more pertinent, because some of them, they might have decided they're not gonna, they're just not in a position right now, or they're just not gonna be building right now, that can happen.
So what's the next step after this? Like, say they never call,
We're gonna pull a list of anybody that we don't hear from,
Yeah.
and we'll probably send them a final certified letter that says the whole thing's being revoked. I don't know, we haven't even talked about
right,
that yet.
okay,
Um,
alrighty,
but
Just goes back to
we'll
square
come
one.
up with a plan.
yeah,
Would it just go back to square one if you,
Yep,
in the future, you
Kinda
just
seems
restart
like
the
it.
entire process?
yeah,
yeah. So this is the other one up on Chicora Review. It's 2 Chicora Review. The house has already been built. The driveway is too large. It's not the proper distance from the sidelines. So we're going to send a expired letter to them, and hopefully they'll get in touch with us. The other thing that is commented on this one, there's a lot of debris that they left in the cul-de-sac area at the end of Chicora Review. That should also get
Cleaned up.
and since they're using the house, I would think it'll be important to them to comply.
Do we have a note about that debris somewhere here?
Upper right corner.
Oh,
yeah, but these
Clean.
aren't going on the expired letters,
No, we're just gonna send them the standard
expire.
expired letter. And this one is, we're not gonna give it the standard the standard expired letter. It's 5 Hutwell. The house is under construction, but they've done well so far with the way the driveway's being set up, but they don't have their water line in yet, and their water line is proposed to go under the ditch line. So there's gonna be significant changes in that area when they do that. So I'd like to hold this one from giving it the operations permit until the water line's in, and then we can do a final inspection to make sure. This is the one on Hutwell. To see, so I'd like to hold this one for
What
And-
number, Hotwell?
5?
Water line not yet in.
Yeah.
That's near the parking lot,
Yes. Yeah, so there's still heavy equipment at the house,
Mahoney.
at the location. We know they still have to do the water line.
Yeah.
They're gonna be changing
Yep.
things there, so we're gonna start a new hold
There's not
pile.
enough- There's not enough top coverage over the pipe, over the culvert.
Right,
Okay,
right, and we know that it's gonna get affected when they put the water line in, so we're gonna do another inspection on that one. The other ones, I think we actually okayed these, or we might have. 22 Aspen.
Yeah, I was asked to
We're gonna put that one in the hold
call. Okay.
pile? Or do we wanna start doing some separate letters specifically for these people? This is the one that headers down into the ditch line, and it's,
erosion.
the culvert isn't properly installed, it's supposed to be further back behind
Well,
or I think,
Jeff didn't talk about that. I think the latest conclusion that the DPW wants to do is they actually want to use hot top on the input to the culvert, not move the culvert,
oh, okay,
but secure the input to it by hot topping and tamping it in place to protect the road and feed it in.
okay.
So
So should we be approving the driveway permit for,
Let's
well,
hold
they
it.
haven't fixed the
Header.
header yet.
right, the header.
Although the header is in the ditch line right now, the big stone.
On the
But if,
output.
on the output.
Yeah.
So if we're
So I'd
gonna,
hold that for now.
yeah, okay, so we're gonna put that one on the hold list.
Okay, but are these people aware that something needs to be done, or?
Not yet, we're gonna, depending on what the DPW wants to do, we might need to be getting in touch with them, and it would be a separate letter done to them.
Okay, so who's tracking these holds and how long are you holding them? I mean, should I just set up a folder that says hold?
Yes, please.
Okay.
That'd be
Okay,
great.
all right.
57 Hotwell?
Idolize?
Idolize?
Yeah,
Oh, the infamous M57, yes.
Yeah.
it was due to, we were gonna send an expire, but, I mean, you guys kept talking about it. No negative grade, road crosses culvert, needs a header.
So do we want to do a separate letter to them
Yes,
versus the standard expired?
yes.
Okay.
That's where the DPW wants them to put the stone header back on the road culvert pipe, not the driveway pipe.
Right, the road.
If I understand it, there was a header there, but they took it out because they were moving equipment over it.
Ah, so yeah.
That's where the water hookup came, right where the culvert header was.
Okay. The other two are on Jungfrau, and they're both very bad.
9 and 7.
9 and 7A for Jungfrau. I know we noted on both of them that there's water damage happening to the road.
Yep.
So again, have a separate, a different letter? Yeah,
Expired, but it has whatever, a
yeah,
different one.
because they're gonna have to fix the roads,
Yeah,
you know, or stop the damage that's causing, you know,
more road damage,
to the
yeah.
road. All right, so I'll start working on some drafts for some letters so that we can go over them and get these things sent out.
All set?
Other thing I had was, I did take some time and updated and have sent around the water usage logs, March, April, and May. So you should have gotten all
Yep,
of them.
got all those, yep.
The one thing that I was thinking of after the fact, is we had, and I know you've seen them, you might not have, woulda, where we had the electric information from each of the pump houses, the wattage and the bill, as well as on one report. And I'm gonna have to look and see if I can find a copy of that report, see what it's called, and see if we can get that going again.
I seem to recall those had electrical usage, but I don't recall a dollar value, how much we paid. That's what I seem to recall in the report.
Okay,
It was just just electrical usage.
yeah, but it was water usage and electric
Yes,
on
yes.
on one report. And so we'll see about getting that reset up if it's valuable, you know? We'll take a look at it and see if it's something that helps.
Well, if
You
you
know,
want
if it
to
gives us
if you
good
want to do
info.
trend analysis, like
Right.
Ian was talking about this morning, how Muddy Beach goes off, you can
Right.
see that if you do a simple graph line, you know, trend analysis.
Right.
Sure. Among other things, where things are, if there's an issue.
And the other thing, and I'll have a letter for us for next week, there's a new curb cut, a new driveway going in at 27 Hutwell. We think, we're not exactly sure if that's the correct address, from walking up and down the street. And from looking at the maps, it appears that that would be the correct address. But like I said, a driveway area has been created. We have no permits.
Application.
Any application, we don't have anything. So it'll be a separate letter that will get signed for next week that will alert the homeowner that he can't do this without a driveway permit.
Is he already starting to?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they've been taking some trees off, they have definitely made a curb cut. Just not, you know,
Yeah.
The whole thing's clear cut,
yeah,
stumped,
right. So,
27 Hotwell, huh?
yep,
Okay.
right at the intersection with Platts.
Platts, yeah,
Platts,
directly across from where Platts comes in,
Okay.
between the Burn Hutwell. And that's that.
Well, that's great work for
Yeah.
the water usage and the driveways.
Yeah, thank you. That's,
Your participation in driveways is excellent also. The
Yes,
two of you have done a great job with that.
It looked like it needed it, that's for sure.
Oh, you caught
It was
us up.
something that was really
Literally
lacking.
Oh.
years catching
Yes.
I
up.
just can't
Yep.
even believe it.
Several
Yep.
years, all of a sudden, caught up.
Just doing the paperwork is a lot, never mind going out and looking at it all.
Yeah,
of them.
exactly.
right,
That's the fun part.
but
Yes.
it's, you know,
When the temperature's 100 degrees.
Yeah.
but it's good to, cause it's a very large thing that has been sitting, and now it's something that we can start moving forward
Right.
from, and it's
It's part of the drainage
It's
system.
a good thing.
Yeah, it's part of the drainage system. But yeah, it's been neglected, which is just unbelievable, but now if we need to keep the momentum, and of course there has to be continuity for future boards to, just, come on,
Right.
just, it's not that hard if the systems are in place.
Okay, at 11:14, we're gonna move to correspondence, which we don't have any. And there's no public appearance and no public comments. And I'm gonna make a motion, we go into non-public session under 91A to discuss things that might impact someone's reputation. So do I hear a
Second.
second? We'll do a roll call vote. If there's no discussion, how do you vote, Nancy, going into non-public session?
Aye.
Aye.
What is aye?
Okay,
And I'll vote aye also.
okay.
Thank you, Carol. At
Take a head break.
11:15.
So I need to ask.